ist nicht mein Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi. Bernd, 52 years of age, 19 centimeters, single.
It's probably like some old man.
That's a dope Wi-Fi name.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Noch Frau Pummel.
Yeah.
Was ist dein Wi-Fi?
Let me check. Wait a second. Fritzbox 7.5.
Der hier?
Ja. Aber du brauchst noch das Passwort und das Passwort habe ich hier.
Also ich hätte es hart lustig gefunden, wenn Bernd 52 Jahre 19 Zentimeter dein Wi-Fi gewesen wäre.
Den hätte ich, der wäre gut gewesen auf jeden Fall hier. Alright. Okay, so guys, it took a while, but now we're on. So, welcome to Volle on Tour, the podcast for every guy, girl and everything in between. So, today we have my second English podcast version.
Yes.
And I'm super excited because I have Kevin's girlfriend, I guess you remember Kevin, here sitting with me, and I'm super excited to have her here. And she will properly introduce herself, but first of all, I wanted to say two things up front. So guys, since this is an English version, and it might be the case that I'm missing some words here, so bear with me, and don't mind if I miss something. But I give it my best, and I guess we're gonna be fine anyway.
Yeah, we will. I'll help you out if you get stuck somewhere.
See, there you go. And second of all, as always, guys, if you can take anything with you from this episode, anything positive, if you're just laughing, or if you have to cry, or if you have an idea, or whatever it is, something positive for yourself that you can use and implement into your life, then I would be very, very happy if you like this episode. If you can drop a comment, if you can, of course, share the episode online, would be fantastic. Obviously, I would be very happy if you join my channel, so click the subscribe button, and last but not least, and I always say this in German as well, please share with a friend or family member, because what we say, Mund-to-Mund propaganda, I don't know if you know what that is. It's like sharing it, word of mouth.
Yeah,
exactly.
Word of mouth, yeah.
Word of mouth is the best kind of marketing you can have.
Yes.
So, that would make me very, very happy. And now, let's get to it.
Alright, let me introduce myself.
Yeah, see, that is the first point here, Z.
Okay.
Introduce yourself.
Alright, so my name is Zainab, but you can call me Z, which is much easier because many people tend to struggle to pronounce Zainab. It's a very easy name, but yes. So I am from Namibia. I'm 25 years old. Currently in Germany, just I guess taking like a mental break and trying to figure out what my next direction is. I am a business administrator by profession. So before we obviously get deep into it, that's basically what I was doing before I came to Germany. So I'm just here for a couple of weeks now. I mean, I've been here since July. I only have a couple of weeks left. But yeah, that's basically my story, and I am Kevin's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like he said.
So, by the way, Kevin is sitting here in this room, but he was a dickhead because he didn't want to come onto this podcast. See, you can actually hear him. Maybe in between he will say some dirty shit. I don't know. We will see. But he's here with us, and he's listening and smiling and making some jokes in between, maybe. But anyway, so first of all, Z, I didn't know that your full name is Zainab.
It's Zainab.
Nobody told me.
Yeah, I mean, most people call me Z, or my second name, Edna.
Yeah.
But the full name is Zainab. Z-Y.
Edna.
No, Edna is my second name. I have
right.
4 names, but my most common names are Zainab and Edna.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Zainab is my first name, which is Z comes from Zainab.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to knock it out with the most important question right from the start, Why Kevin? What are you fucking doing to yourself?
Kevin,
do you like punishment? Do you know what I mean?
I think outside of dating Kevin, even if we never were in an intimate relationship, I think being around him, I've learned so much in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
He's much older than me and obviously has more experience. I mean, he's just 3 years old. Sorry, babe. But I'm making it sound like he's 20 years older than me, but like he He's very matured for his age. Let's just start there. And we all know that men don't mature as quickly as women.
I would question the first
Well,
one.
well, some men do, but like
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from him in the past 3 years that we've been together. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a really nice person. He's a great friend. He's a great confidant. I suffer from imposter syndrome, which is, so
Yeah.
I think I feel like I don't deserve a lot of the good things, or I don't see why something good is happening to me.
Yeah.
And he always sort of makes me feel better. He
Mm-hmm.
is very supportive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many ideas and things in my head every time, if I had to come up with those ideas to someone else, it would be annoying as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing everything on one person. But he has always been so supportive. Even before we started dating, we were just like talking for 6 months, and he was always consistent from 2019 when we first started talking
Yeah.
up until this point. So his consistency is one of the very important things that I love, and I love him. He's a great guy.
See, that's great.
nice.
That's great. So you said you learned a lot from him
Yeah.
by now. Can you like elaborate on that?
So I did study business, but this was a way before I met him.
Yeah.
And I always thought I would be able to pursue something of my own one day.
Yeah.
But I never knew how much of a push I needed
Yeah.
to kind of pursue everything that I wanted
Yeah.
soon enough. And he did, because I was probably going to push all my business ideas and things
Yeah.
that I wanted to achieve much
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
But he always encourages me. He
Yeah.
always tells me that it's for the best that I don't put my dreams on hold.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really made it very clear why it's important to follow my dreams. He's doing the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hence why I say that he is a partner who has encouraged me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the encouraging part that I've really learned from him. Because over the years I've also kind of used it, has rubbed off on me, and I've used that in my other platonic relationships with my friends as well. Because now I'm just trying to like push to be a better person, to be a better friend, to be a better sister, and a better mother one day. So that's one of the things that I've learned from him over the past 3 years, is to just never give up on things that you've thought about, that you've wanted to create for a long time.
Yeah. And like throwing yourself in there and just going for it instead of waiting and putting it off.
Yes,
kind
he's kind of pushed me to just live outside of the normal comfortable
Yeah.
bubble. He actually said to me one day, comfortability can be quite tricky and dangerous, because when you're so comfortable, you do the same thing over again. It's like a repetitive. Yes, that's what he
In
said.
the comfort zone. There's no growth in the comfort zone.
That's what he said. There's no growth in the comfort zone. Is what he told me a couple of times, and it's one of the best things I've heard.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that being too comfortable, you will literally stay in the same place.
Yeah.
For as long as possible, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
And he's growing also. I think seeing how he's growing in his career.
Yeah.
We're obviously doing two different things in life.
Yeah.
But then I can still mimic what it is that he's doing, from the way he does it, his work ethic.
So you
he
can
works
adapt.
super hard. I mean, we are here shooting a podcast, which is amazing. I mean, he could just be chilling and drinking a glass of something, but he brought his laptop and he's working now.
Yeah.
You know, so he's been amazing. So I'm saying, if we had never even dated as a friend, he's a friend that I would want to keep.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, a good thing to have, because if your partner can be a friend to you as well and show you some things that in a normal relationship people wouldn't say or do, I think there's a difference. I think you can be both. You know, you can be the loving partner kind of, but also you can be the friend who supports you, who pushes you, who tries to make you better, who has ideas for you, and so on. I think that's a good combination to have. It's funny that you said the thing with the comfort zone, because him and we are actually quite alike in that regard. I have in my bedroom there's a table, and I actually have the comfort zone like painted in there. Yeah, I do. But I have it with basically the comfort zone in the middle.
Yeah.
Then the stuff that you have to do in order to like get out of your comfort zone. So basically you have to struggle, you have to learn, you have to keep pushing and so on. And then above that, there's all the stuff that you want. So basically growth, happiness, all that kind of stuff. So we are very alike in that sense. And
you guys actually are, I agree. He always, well, before I met you, he told me what kind of person you are, and I actually saw it. And I think it's amazing when you're getting older that you have a certain type of group of friends who can help you elevate. If you have friends or just people in your life that don't really want to grow, you're most likely going to stay down there as well.
Exactly.
So I see why you guys are friends, because you're good together.
Yeah, these days, like I haven't done that back in the days. You know, I was like, and I think we all do that to a certain degree, where we just hang out with people, with all kinds of people, which is good. You know, because you have to see, okay, who do you like, and what kind of person do you like? Who do you want to hang out with? Who do you not want to hang out with? What do you value in people? What do you value in yourself? And so on and so forth. And then eventually I came to the conclusion that I want, personally, I don't say to anyone, do it my way. But what I'm saying is I've came to the conclusion that it's up to you to decide. You know, you have to make a decision, and I rather want to have a very tight and small circle of people instead of having 1,000 wannabe friends who don't do shit for me. You know what I mean? It's just pointless. And I very selectively try to find people or just hang out with people that give me some kind of something valuable
or people
in
that
whatever
you can
way.
learn from.
Exactly. Because I don't know how you see it, but I think you should always try to have people that are better than you in certain areas in order to learn.
People with more wisdom, people older than you, people who've experienced a lot more than you have in life.
But you know, age is not the point here, for me at least. You know, I always use this example of, who do you think has more experience or knowledge, like deep knowledge about life? A person who is 70 years of age, who had a, let's say, average life, doing the normal day-to-day stuff, never really got out of their comfort zone, never really traveled, never really had different kinds of friends from different nationalities and backgrounds. That's person A. Or you have this kid who is, let's say, 12 years of age, grown up in fucking Iraq, had to go through war, had to work in order to stay alive, had to get water, had to do this and that and all of that. So who of these two people is the one that has more in-depth experience about life?
The 12-year-old kid.
I would say so. Maybe you cannot talk to the 12-year-old in a way that you can
to the other one.
to the person who is 60 or 70 years old, because that 12-year-old has to grow a couple more years, you know. But when he's 18, 20, 25, all that stuff always stays with him. So basically there's somebody who is way younger, but has way more knowledge in certain areas.
But you know what's sad also is how, that's a good example, because that's actually some people's reality now. Because as a 12-year-old, in a very healthy environment, the last thing that they're supposed to be thinking about is how to survive. You get what I mean? Not at the age of 12. Like, it's a very traumatizing experience. So imagine growing up. Obviously, the 12-year-old is gonna be more matured. Because they started surviving at such an early age. But that's also like such a bad thing, a bad thing for a child to go through, because now their maturity is based off of some type of trauma that they experienced when they were young. Do you get what I mean? So I've seen it a lot where you find people who say, I had to fend for myself since I was 16. I've been working since I was a certain age. And you kind of wonder why, because they literally missed out on being just a kid and trying to be an adult, trying to get jobs for themselves because their parents were not around, or they were just on the streets, or they had siblings to take care of. So that's a lot of that is very common. I'm obviously not fully aware of how it is in Germany or Europe as a whole, but a lot of that is many kids' reality in Africa, for example.
Yeah.
Where they come from broken homes. They have so many stories to tell you. A 12-year-old will probably have half a book to give you about their life and the hardships that they've went through.
Yeah.
It's so sad when a 12-year-old is telling you that I've had to do this and that, and you're like, and mentally and emotionally they seem so strong, but it's actually heartbreaking because they missed out on what should have been such a beautiful childhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's depressing, but that's like the reality, and it's sad that now that's how people need to grow up. You know, because now you're comparing like a 60-year-old and a 12-year-old, and the 60-year-old is probably not as emotionally strong as the 12-year-old.
Yeah, in my example.
Yeah,
you know,
obviously, but I'm using your example now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the way of life, unfortunately, but it's also how people learn about what they can do better for themselves and those around them, based on the hardships that they've experienced. I mean, I started working, for the first time, I started working at the age of, I think, 16. So I was just doing like really random things. Like at high school, for example, I first started off in a lot of communities, so the debate society, girls club society, and I spoke a lot. So as a debater, you're speaking a lot. So I then started getting invited to represent the school. So that's when then people would like pull me out of a crowd, because now I kind of stood out, and from there I started kind of making money from it. I mean, I think I've done, well, not obviously every job there is, but I lost my mom when I was 11. So life became kind of a bit tricky from that point. My dad was present. He is currently present as well. But ever since we lost my mom, life has just obviously been different. I'm sure there's someone out there that can relate. How basically the family dynamic changes when one person is no more there. It's almost like my mom was the pillar that held us together. So
let me break you there. What did change for you? Like, did you, because you were just right before you were talking about small kids, you know, not having a proper childhood and all that. I guess you want to talk about the way that it changed for you, and that you maybe had to grow up faster than most people. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I just feel like I was growing at a faster pace than most people. I mean, at the age of 16, you're like, what, grade 10? So you are way on your way to university, but a little far from that. I mean, you're only 16, you still have, to finish secondary school, you still need to go to college and stuff like that. But I was working, I became a waitress at some point, I became a cleaner at some point, I was a volunteer at some point, and I used to make good money actually, like from the NGOs that used to invite me out to go for workshops and so forth. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of life experiences that people are not supposed to go through, that unfortunately forces them to grow up much faster than they're supposed to. So only much later as adults they realize how those traumas affected them as an adult. So I mean, there are definitely things that I went through that I didn't think would necessarily come back and haunt me as an adult now, but I mean, we've all been there. I don't think there's one, even people who grew up in really healthy environments, there's probably one or two things that have traumatized you that only manifest themselves much later in your life. So
you know, there's a saying, I guess it's a universal saying all over the world, but here in Germany we sometimes say that there's shit happening in every family. Doesn't matter where you come from, you know. Doesn't matter. You could have a great childhood and everything, and everybody could protect you and try to help you and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, there's going to be something happening which is not so nice.
You should watch some crime documentary series if you don't. Like on YouTube, there's actually a channel called Soft White Underbelly, and he interviews people from different walks of life. He interviews the 13-year-old who's on Skid Row in Los Angeles, or
that is crazy.
Or like a prostitute, and how they grew up, and you basically find out that some of these people, some of them grew up in loving homes.
Yeah.
Or you'd find two crack addicts.
Yeah.
One grew up in an amazing home. I mean, they went to the best schools.
Yeah.
They had clothes. They
Yeah.
had this. They had that. And the other one who grew up in the streets.
Yeah.
But then the one who grew up in the street, or who had a much, obviously we're not trying to compare the trauma, but then there's one who grew up in a really bad environment.
Yeah.
Who got clean and they got better, and then the other one just didn't. But so now you ask yourself, why is it that you had everything? You had a home, your parents were loving, all of that, but then the one who actually had it so much worse is the one who actually gets out of it. So you ask yourself, does it have something to do with just the mindset? Is it the environment, or is this person telling themselves that, okay, my parents were drug addicts, I'm not going to be like them? You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's a tough question, because you could ask so many things about it. You know, it could be it could be that, it could be the mindset, it could be the surrounding people. I don't know, it could be genetics in a way. You know, I've recently read a book where, or I am just reading a book right now, which is about gaining weight, so muscles. It's all about the your body and how to gain muscle, and there's a lot about or it says a lot about DNA and how certain genes affect you, and that even though we still might think, or we want to believe, that most of who we are is has something to do with the way we think, we act, and the people around us. That is true to a very high degree, but you cannot deny the fact of your genes. You just can't. And I think they used some kind of number, like 40 or 50% of who you are is from genes anyway. Like, and you could throw that in the conversation of this two people, you know.
Yeah.
Can be.
And that's a big number. 40% is.
Imagine. 40 or 50% of who you are and the way you think, the way you act, the way you move, the way you speak, everything. 50% is just genes. Obviously, you can change your genes in a way if you want to. That's possible, but not everything.
Yeah.
Like a bit, you know. But that's quite interesting. But so let's go back a little, because usually, or in pretty much every podcast that I did before this, I didn't have any kind of goal. I just wanted to, like I said in the beginning, I just want people to get something out of it and learn something from it. But today I actually brought two small goals, kind of.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Yeah. So first one is I want people obviously to get to know you, because you are for most listeners, you come from a country that many people don't know. They don't have a fucking clue where Namibia even is on the map. Yeah, what kind of country it is. How the people are, and so on. And especially I want to introduce you to you. I want to know who is Z. What
is she about?
Exactly. That's the first one. And the second one, where I would think that would be a very, very nice thing, if in the end people can look at this episode and look at this podcast and say, hey, you know, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter who you are, what race, what skin color, male, female, whatever. We're all different, but we are so much more alike. Doesn't matter where you come from this world. And through this conversation, my goal was to, maybe get the people out there listening to this and say, hey, he's actually right with this, you know? So, which brings me to to my first question, because I think that's a good starting point for all of this. How did you meet Kevin?
So Kevin,
because why am I asking you this? Because I think it's very, very interesting in that regard, what kind of day and age we live in, how it works today. Because you sitting here on my couch is absolutely nuts.
Yes,
it is nuts.
Based on how we met.
Yeah, exactly. It based on how you guys met. It's just crazy. And now I'm having a conversation in English with you from Namibia. Being here, it's fucking crazy.
It is very crazy. Yeah. So obviously it's crazy, but not in terms of, because people know about social media. So
of course.
But we met on Tinder, actually. It was a very, personally, it was a very dark time. So that's why, for me, it's even crazy that I'm actually sitting here right now with a whole boyfriend. Do you get what I mean? Because I was going through 2018 and 19 were not, they were not really good years for me mentally. So I mean, I
Can I
wasn't.
ask you why?
I was just, I don't know. So there were. I'm just gonna be frank and say that I grew up after my mom passed away. I grew up in an abusive home.
Mhm.
My dad and my stepmom.
Mhm.
I mean, it's still ongoing, but sometimes some years and some days are just much darker than other years.
Yeah.
It's very hard. I mean, at the time, I had a job, which is the job that I left now, but we can probably get to that much later.
Yeah.
But I was just I was feeling stuck.
Mhm.
And I get a lot of moments where I'm feeling stuck in terms of what I should do. I mean, I was still in university. I hadn't graduated yet, but then I was at home, and home is very toxic for me. So I was having one of those moments. And I was also going through a breakup before I met Kevin. So I found myself on Tinder on and off, I think since my first year of university, because I was just checking here and there. So I would log off from Tinder, then I'd log in again, log off.
Yeah.
So when I met Kevin specifically in June, we started talking on the 28th of June 2019.
Yeah.
So that's when we started, like, we swiped and
Yeah,
we started talking. So my cousin and my sister, we and some other friends, we decided to leave town for a trip to the coast, because we were just, I think we were all sort of just going through something.
Yeah.
So we left, and I swiped Kevin while I was packing my stuff to go on this trip. So that was our first conversation we were having. We were just literally talking. I think Kevin and I, by the way, haven't gone one day without speaking for the past since 2019.
That is
ridiculous. We've not gone one day without
Jesus Christ.
speaking. Like, we were dating, getting to know each other, which is basically dating, for 6 months.
Yeah.
And we spoke every day. So I'm just saying, I just never thought, I mean, I was on Tinder, like I said before, and I've swiped with certain people.
Yeah.
I've spoken with some people. Some people make it very clear from the onset that they just want to hook up.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to be actually sitting and saying that I actually have a whole boyfriend, like I'm in a committed relationship for almost 3 years, is a bit insane, that I met on Tinder. Sometimes people ask me, how did you meet your boyfriend?
Yeah.
And I tell them Tinder, and they're like, because I mean, it's not news that Tinder is a very it's a hookup place. Most dating sites
for many people.
So that's how we met, Tinder, and we're here now. 3 years later, we are here, we're dating. When I had told my father about it for the first time, he didn't, which is very weird, because my dad is very African, but he's also a modern father. It's not like I don't think it was going to be a big shocker necessarily, because I was also much older. But he said something about, but social media can, all he said was, social media can be very tricky. And it can be scary, be careful who you meet. But he met Kevin, and he likes Kevin.
That's good.
He told most of my family that Kevin is my husband, which is... He met him once
already,
and the next day I had an uncle text me saying congratulations. I'm like, what are you talking about? So he likes Kevin.
Do you already have kids as well?
Back home? Probably, according to my dad, we probably have kids already.
Jesus! All right, okay.
But we met on Tinder. It was unexpected, but
did you ever think, because this day and age, this is super normal. For example, even my father, I don't know if he met his current girlfriend online. I mean, he knew her before from back in the days, like a soccer mom kind of.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he connected with her again via the internet.
Yeah.
Anyway, his last girlfriend, or a couple women that he met before, he met them. He met them over the internet as well. Yeah. And my mom, I think, met her current partner. Yeah. And they're together since 6 or 7 years now. Yeah. Also over the internet. So it's not even a thing for young people anymore. It's it's just completely normal. Yeah. So but still, anyway, Mike, what I wanted to ask you is, do you think, did you ever think that you would meet someone and be in a relationship with someone, first of all, via internet, second of all, that is completely from a different continent, you know what I mean? Which is, because to me, it still sounds crazy. Nope. But in a good way, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Firstly, this is my first long distance relationship. Yeah. never really thought I'd be able to do long distance relationship at all, because I'm not like clingy, but it would be very nice to have your partner in one place,
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course.
But I mean, I just never thought I would be here. I mean, for many reasons. I've been on Tinder, like I said. Swiped right with a couple of people who really just wanted to hook up, which was okay. I mean, it's not like there's nothing wrong with that, but like I said, I was on and off it, so I did give up at some point and kept coming back. So I really don't know what it was in 2019 that made me go back. Maybe I was looking for a hookup, who knows, because I was going through like a breakup, but it wasn't so bad at that time, because I think it was in early 2019 that I had gone through that breakup. But I'm just saying, it's hard meeting. I mean, society already has a lot to say about dating apps and where you meet people.
Well, society has a lot to say about anything.
Society has a lot. So sometimes, and I've seen it before, where some people are even afraid of saying that they met their partners on the internet.
Which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, the internet is so modernized. Like, everyone is using the internet for something.
Yeah.
There's Facebook, there's Instagram, you name it.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't. There's no reason why it should be like a taboo while you're meeting people online. But I never thought I would meet someone and actually be in a relationship with someone that is so far away, because we are continents apart from each other.
Yeah.
We are hours apart from each other. I just never saw it. If you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have told you no.
Crazy.
I would have told you no.
Yeah.
Because I never thought I'd be able to do distance. I mean, I've met people before from different towns, and I said I wouldn't do distance.
Yeah.
And
no, you're doing it.
Now I am doing distance.
Yeah.
But it's been an amazing journey. It's just been very tricky, because we started dating before COVID hit.
Yeah.
So we thought we would have it would be fine. We thought we'd see each other in 4 months or something.
Yeah.
And then literally 4 months later,
then
the countries got locked down.
Yeah.
So it's been very difficult with COVID.
Yeah.
So I think a very teaching lesson for us was how to work around not only the distance, but working around COVID, because it wasn't up to us anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we would book a ticket, we would have our visa, I would have my visa, whatever. But if the German government said that they're closing the borders, then the borders are closed, you know.
Of course.
But it's been fun. It's been amazing.
But that's what I wanted to ask you anyway, from this last 3 years now, since a long distance relationship is not something that is easy. It's actually fucking hard, because I did it for 1 year and I just couldn't. After a while, I still stuck to my girlfriend, but I can tell you it was insanely hard for me. Yeah. I mean, it was the time I told you about this before, when I went to Australia and Southeast Asia and all that stuff. You know, obviously you hang around in a lot of hostels, you meet so many people, and you meet especially super pretty girls from around the world, you know. For me, as a young guy, 22 years of age,
of course,
thinking he's the Mac, it was just hard. But so for me, I still ask myself if I could learn something from this. Is there something for you that you have learned in the last 3 years through this long distance relationship?
Yeah, I think it sounds cliche really, but I think just perseverance. Well, in terms of actually romantic relationships, is for one, just trusting, because firstly I am not really one to trust a lot. Hence why I never thought I'd be able to get into something so different. But I think persevering, and we have been, it's funny, but firstly, we don't live together permanently, and it's just 3 years, which isn't much to some people. But Kevin and I have, I think, gone through a lot in this 3 years. So many times, I'm sure I've wanted to give up on the relationship. He has wanted to give up. And I think one of the things that I've definitely learned is how hardships will always be there. They're never going to not stop. It doesn't matter in what situation you're in. It's just that mine now is in terms of my long distance relationship. But they're always going to be there, the hardships. But if you want to quit every time there's something hard to do, then you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, I've wanted to quit going to my visa appointment because they really gave me such a hard time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here today if I actually didn't go to the visa appointment. So it's things like that, not wanting to quit, and also we don't want to quit on each other.
Yeah.
Just yet. I think we have a good thing going, and we want to see where it gets to. It's almost like any other thing in life, like when you're having a business or when you want to start a business, you're not going to know if it's going to succeed until you actually try.
Yeah.
The goal is to get married one day, but we're not going to know if we can actually get there if we're going to give up super soon in our relationship.
Yeah. This is absolute gold. Honestly, this is gold because it's a lesson for life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's in the relationship, but then I think I can also use it in other parts, in other aspects of my life, because I think I've become such a fighter now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I can fight no offense, but if I can fight the German consulate, I can. If I can fight the German consulate to get a visa to go see my boyfriend, then I can flipping fight anything else.
Yeah.
And they are very difficult, by the way. So
I know, that's what I wanted to talk to you about as well. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about how hard it is or how hard it was for you to get in here.
Sorry, I always just need to sip a bit of wine. So the first time I came to Germany was in 2019, in December. I don't know if I mentioned that. So this was before COVID.
Like 3 months before, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
3 months
March
before
2020.
lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this was the first time I came to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew it would be hard.
Yeah.
But then you can imagine how much harder it got with COVID, because now the regulations just got much, much worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had 3 visas now.
Yeah.
The second one, so I was supposed to come to Germany last year as well in December.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Omicron had to happen.
Yeah.
And then the German government, they literally red listed Namibia.
Yeah.
So Namibia and the entire Southern Africa wasn't allowed to travel to Germany, to the UK, other countries. They were not allowed to travel to those countries at all. So
But
for me, that
wait
was...
a second. What I found so interesting, because Kevin obviously told me everything about this, and what I found to be so interesting is that, and not just interesting, just absolutely ridiculous, that they just took these couple of countries, as if Omicron was just in that area.
Yep.
Obviously, it was a worldwide thing.
Let me tell you how it started. So Omicron was first detected in the whole in South Africa.
Yeah.
But that's not where the first case was. South Africa was, because South Africa is very, not completely developed, but South Africa has one of the best scientists in the world.
Yeah.
So it's no coincidence that they detected it there. South Africa actually saved us because they then notified the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But because the news first came from South Africa, they decided they're gonna ban the entire Southern Africa. And I remember how furious we all were. I was furious because I didn't understand why we are being, almost like there was discrimination between Southern Africa. I mean, we were not allowed to go anyway. I mean, Kevin and I were even looking into other alternatives. If I couldn't come to Germany, I couldn't even go to Tanzania, for example. They even got to a point where some African countries banned us. But it was insane. It was such a confusing moment. But yeah, like I was saying, it's obviously been hard, but COVID just made it a lot harder.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't know if Kevin has told you about the type of documents that the German consulate asks.
I wanted to talk to you about this because I think that's absolutely...
That's ridiculous.
It's just nuts. Like how... I mean, you can elaborate, but it's to me, when I heard that story, I was just like, what are they even fucking thinking? Like, I mean, explain first, and then I tell you what I thought about it, or what I generally think about it, and what I thought in your case, like in the two of you.
Yeah.
You know?
So last year, for the first time last year, so this was during COVID, and I was supposed to come. I went to the German consulate, did my bookings, everything.
Yeah.
But it's funny, they asked me to provide WhatsApp messages of my boyfriend and I. I had to print out pictures of us to actually prove that we are in a relationship.
Yeah.
He and I had to sign a declaration that we are actually in a relationship and from how long.
Yeah.
And For me, that was, besides it being invasive, because for me, I was like, okay, this is a lot. I was willing to give the pictures, it's fine. But then for them to say that they would like messages to see that we're actually talking is a bit crazy. On top of that, they wanted Kevin to give previous flight tickets to show that he was actually in Namibia and that we are in a relationship. But that didn't make sense to me because it's not the first time that I got a visa to Germany.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? I didn't come to Germany I came to Germany to be with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so that was just, it was insane. So we went through all of that. I felt it was very humiliating. Not because it was a problem proving that we're in a relationship, but it's just how humiliating it is for people to have to go through things like proving that they're in a relationship for you to grant them a visa to go to another country.
Yeah.
And what's more upsetting is how Namibia and Germany are believed to have such a close relationship together.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, Namibia is going to have to, or Germany and Namibia are going to have to come to some type of agreement to not really let Namibians have to have a visa. And it's so strict to get the visa. It's okay to have a visa to enter a country. But how about you make Namibians get a visa upon arrival? Because when Kevin or if you go to Namibia now,
Of course.
you don't have to go to a Namibian consulate in Germany.
I know.
You know, so
it's just privilege. It is privilege.
And that broke my heart. I think I lost so much faith. I remember calling Kevin. I was panicking, and I panic a lot in our relationship. I'm both a panicker, if that's a word. I panicked a lot. I felt really distraught. Kind of. I think at some point we even said, is this a sign that we should break up? I think we said that a couple of times. Is this a sign that we should break up? Because why is it so freaking hard to just see each other? And then we wanted to go to Seychelles, and then Seychelles also didn't let me in. And so you were like, let's go to Cape Town. So it's things like that which are really discouraging, because in as much as you're excited to go and see your partner, now you have to deal with a consulate that is just being really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And then this time around for this trip now, we had needed more documents, and they're very bureaucratic.
Yeah.
They give you a list of what is needed from you, and then you literally do everything that's on that list.
Yeah.
And then they come back to you and they're like, no, but it's not enough. But they
Yeah,
want
yeah.
this, they want
Yeah,
that. And in my opinion, it's just unnecessary. There are definitely documents that are necessary to provide, but it's really not necessary to go through all of that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my point of view as well. So what I think about it is, I think it's, like, generally speaking, I think it's a good thing that you have those types of mechanisms in place, you know, because obviously you don't want, and it doesn't matter what country we're speaking of. Here we could speak about the US, we could speak about Brazil, we could speak about whatever. I think it's good because you don't want to get people into your country who could do damage, obviously, but that there's a certain degree and a certain line that you, especially if people can already provide you with proof up front that they know each other, that they are in a relationship or just friends, whatever it is, you know, there's a certain line that you shouldn't cross. Yeah. And it has, in this case, it just has something to do because you're coming from South Africa. Let's bring it down to the point. That's it.
Or from Namibia.
Yeah. It doesn't, I think they would have done the same with Botswana, with South Africa, with whatever. Doesn't matter. They would have done the same. It's just, and that's something that I wanted to point out today, because I think it's absolutely fucking horrible to do those kinds of things. Because you sitting here, the way you talk, the way you speak right now, is just awesome. Honestly, like, and I mean it. It's like, it's very thoughtful. What you say. It's very you are intelligent, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the way you act, the way you speak, the way you think, obviously says something about you straight away. I think people who can actually, who are good at English and listen to this, they will see that straight away. Takes them 2 minutes and they'll be like, okay, there's someone who's not a dumb fuck. Yeah. So what I wanted to say is that it just doesn't make sense to me to do this in 2022 anymore. you know.
Not in this century.
I mean, most of the time I would actually say that if people, or how would you say this? If there is a person who really wants to do damage, kind of, I would think that they would have a record already.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then you can go deeper into this.
Yes.
Of course, there's an exception to the rule always. Yeah, there might be somebody who has never done shit and like nothing bad in their life, and they belong to whatever kind of terrorist group. Get into a country and do damage. Happened before, will happen again. 100%. Yeah, but in 99 point whatever % of the time, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So making it harder for you or for any person to come here and to make you feel like you don't belong here, that's just not right.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it.
And it's like they make you beg, and I hate to say this, but it really always feels like the German consulate in this case now.
Yeah.
They make you beg for that visa, and it costs a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah.
And
how much is it?
So I paid. So it keeps increasing every time, which is a bit insane to me. So last year I paid $1,300.
Dollars?
Yes, Namibian dollars.
What's that in euros? Do you know?
In euros, it should be. Where's this myth? The guy who can calculate properly. 1,300 should be euros. How much is 1,300 Namibian dollars in euros approximately?
80?
Yeah,
85?
80 euros. So for us Namibians, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I did. It's not like I had
to
a
put this
really
into
high-
perspective quickly. 80 euros, and what's the average income for a Namibian person, roughly?
I would say, average, I would say 5,000
5,000
Namibian dollars
So-
per month.
So, and you paid $1,300.
$1,300.
So if we times 4, basically what you are saying is that the average person in Namibia is earning 300 euros per month. Just imagine this. Like,
Let me not even get to domestic workers who are so badly underpaid. I mean, the economy is a shit show. I mean, people are paid peanuts for working their asses off, which is really heartbreaking. And especially people like domestic workers. I mean, it's people who most probably not the most educated people, but they're hardworking as well. But yeah, the German consulate just takes money out of your pocket. But this was what I paid last year.
Yeah.
This year when I came,
Yeah.
I think I paid over 2,000 Namibian dollars because now they had new fees. They had a mandatory fee for courier, which was crazy. Again, another thing that I told Kevin, and I was so upset about it when I came from that visa appointment because I had budgeted a specific amount, and on the website they didn't mention anything about it.
Yeah.
So they asked me to pay an additional $300 for courier, and courier is them returning my passport to my front door. But they also gave me the option to come and pick it up. If I went to pick my passport up after the interview myself, it would have costed me less than 30 Namibian dollars. But they made me pay 300 Namibian dollars, and they called it a mandatory fee. So if I chose not to pay the $300, they would have declined my visa, for example. So they know that I need them more than they need me.
Yeah.
So I anyways had to pay the money
Yeah.
otherwise they're not even going to bother looking at my application.
Yeah.
So it's things like that might not seem like such a big deal to people, but it's actually really bothersome.
Yeah.
It's bothersome, and anyone can tell you how consulates, and I'm sure the German consulate is not the only one that does this. Like, the consulates are just...
Yeah, I know.
They are so strict. They want this, they want that. And I understand that some documents are very necessary, but for me, the line that they crossed in 2019 last year was them asking me to provide information, text messages with my boyfriend.
Yeah, that's very private.
It's so invasive because now we needed to scroll to specifically messages. Because, I mean, we are a couple. There are messages where we are arguing. So obviously now you need to scroll up to things that say I love you because you need to prove to the flipping consulate that you guys actually love each other, which is really, it's absurd. I had to come back and I was only given I think 2 hours to submit that.
Yeah.
Otherwise they would have said no. So I had to come back. I had to scroll through messages. I had to take a screenshot. I had to put it on a PDF, go and print it. So that took me like 40 minutes to do back and forth, and I was in a rush. And obviously, they know how badly I want the visa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they know that you're going to provide. The
And it's
documents.
also a very compounding effect, you know. What they do is they just don't fuck you up one time. They do it over and over and over again, so it makes you feel even worse.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, just I don't know. As I said, in my opinion, it's you can't do this to people. It doesn't matter where they come from.
Yeah.
Again, it is important to have those kinds of systems in place to a certain degree, you know. But it's just I don't know. When I heard about it, I was shocked. I was as pissed off. No, maybe not as pissed off as Kevin, but I was quite pissed off.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just the wrong thing to do, especially when you think about that we're living in 2022.
Yes.
You know, everybody's pretending these days. Or many people are pretending, hey, we're so open-minded. We are so, I don't know, friendly to everyone, especially we Germans. We
We're
have
accepting.
to, you know, we have to, because back in the days, 80 fucking years ago, some douchebag, they've all been Nazis and all that, so we have to be very friendly. And then I hear this,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm just like, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. You
But
know?
what's also crazy to me is they pull prints.
Yeah.
You are required to give your fingerprints. So when they pull prints, they're able to check if you have any criminal record.
Yeah.
So if I'm giving you my fingerprints, why else do you need some very invasive information from me? And also, it's not like in their system, it doesn't indicate that I've been granted the visa before. And I'm not saying just because I've been granted the visa once that I should be granted it again.
Yeah.
But if I'm giving you all the documents that you requested, because I like to plan a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a very, well, not plan so much, but I'm very organized, especially when it comes to very intricate things like the visa application. It's nothing to be played with.
Yeah.
So I will prepare every document weeks in advance. You can ask Kevin. We are talking about a trip that's probably 2 months later.
Yeah.
I mean, I was only set to fly on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
We were planning this from March already.
Jesus.
Like
Okay.
documents, getting my documents ready. That's just how I do things. And for me to put so much thought into preparing my documents and then just for you to send me back and then say, no, give us messages of your boyfriend, or you guys need to sign declarations, send it to him, because Kevin was working and I needed to send it to him as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And he needed to send it back to me with his signature and everything. So it's things like that, but I don't think much of it is gonna change very soon, especially in like bureaucracy is not gonna change anytime soon. It's gonna take a couple of people who are really willing to change the system for them to do it, and even if they do, it's gonna take a couple of years before anything is different. So it's sad to say, but I would say we should probably just dream on for now. But
but I'm with you on this. I think first of all, I always think, you know, people like their status and they like to be in power. That's just how we are as humans, you know, as the human animal. We want to be the fucking top animal always. So if you are in a situation, and you can translate that idea from one person to a whole country. So for Germany being superior, so to speak, to Namibia, they just use it if they want to, and then some fucking douchebag in whatever office you know is making you feel like a bad person or a criminal, so to speak, just because that person can, which is just not the right thing to do. But you know, when you were talking about this, there was one thing that came to my mind, and it has something to do with like the social way of seeing it. Like, how is it as I said, today or this day and age, people try to pretend they're very open-minded and we're all friends and we all love each other. It doesn't matter where you come from, blah blah. But not like, there's just a tiny amount of people who really believe that and who really think that from the bottom of their heart and act like it as well. How is it in Namibia? Like, because here in Germany, I can see a change, a slowly change happening from generation to generation. If you would speak to people at the age of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They are more open-minded, obviously, than my grandparents
Mm-hmm.
have been, and it always depends on the person itself, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but generally speaking, from generation to generation, people are getting more open-minded.
Yeah.
I can see it in my brother, in his friends. You know, if you talk to them about social problems, about people of color, different races, different whatever, they're all try to be at least very open-minded. Again, generally speaking.
Yeah.
How is it in Namibia?
I mean, so Namibia, I think it actually is moving. Like people are, there's a shift in the mindset that is definitely happening, but it's more so with the young people. So, but the older people, I wouldn't say so much, especially like people in power, like the politicians, the presidents, and so forth. I mean, people are definitely, as the young people, I would call it woke, as you would call it.
Yeah.
They're definitely getting more woke, but I can still see there are a lot of people in power, politicians who are stagnant.
Woo! Wait a second, guys. That's my phone. Sorry for this one. Where's the fucking phone?
It sounds like it's ringing this side.
Do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like it's this side.
I had this last time as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, when I recorded the one with Julie. Anyway,
People need you.
guys, we're back. So, again.
Yeah, so the older people's mindsets, I doubt they're gonna change very much.
Yeah.
Probably not in the early, not in the near future. But however, I do want to applaud, like for example, our Namibian government they're starting to now put younger people in parliament, which is
really?
amazing.
This is great.
Yes, I mean we have our youngest deputy minister
Yeah.
is younger than 30 years old.
Oh, that's fucking
I know.
great. Okay.
Fun fact, actually, her name is I forgot her name, but it's gonna come back somewhere here. I actually debated with her when I was in high school.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did. I don't want to expose too much about like which school, but if Namibians are watching this, well, if my friend from high school is watching this, Nadeshta, who was the head girl with me when I was deputy head girl, we actually debated with her.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all that she became the deputy minister. She's doing so great. So we have her, we have Patience Masua, who's a parliamentarian also.
Yeah.
Who is actually the voice of the young people, because parliament is so packed to the brim with old people who have old ways of thinking. They don't want to change their mind. So recently our president decided to put in some young voices in there, which I think is amazing.
That's awesome.
And I really applaud him for that. He's an old school guy, but he has actually made me super proud in that aspect. But
nice.
for example, we have things like the LGBTQ community. Our old president, for example, he said, it's like our first president, he said gay marriages will never be legalized in Namibia. He said it on national TV.
Yeah.
So, but we are moving.
Yeah.
It's just a very steady pace.
Yeah.
And obviously we would not be able to move the way we are currently moving if it wasn't for the voices of the young people, for the voices of the people that are woke. But there's definitely communities for that. For example, gay marriages are not legalized in Namibia, but there's open spaces for that. For example, you can walk around with the pride flag. You can go to events and stuff like that. But the only thing you can't do is get married.
Legally getting married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, which is definitely heartbreaking for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we're getting there. At least now they can openly show that their love.
Yeah.
Like you can walk around and I guess you can wear like a drag queen, you can wear queer, whatever. Obviously, there are going to be people that will stare at you. Yeah. I mean, there are going to be people that will judge you.
Of course, always.
Isn't that society for you? Society will always stare at you for whatever it is that you do.
Of course.
And
change needs time as well.
Yeah, it does. It does. So I don't see much of a change happening too soon. And I'm obviously not going to rush it because Namibia is it's an underdeveloped country. Population is small. We are only about 2 million people in Namibia. So there's not much that's going to happen in a very short period of time, but eventually I think it will get there. Slowly but surely, in terms of us changing our mindset and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
the economy is still not great.
Mm-hmm.
But we're moving. I think as a
Yeah.
small knit country,
Yeah.
I guess I want to say trying the best that we can now with what we have. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of things would be much, much different and much better if
Mm-hmm.
the people in power, the politicians,
Mm-hmm.
the lawmakers,
Mm-hmm.
the policymakers, if they had a much open mind, if they were more open to change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, growth, there's not much growth in comfortability.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
they are very used to like things being done a certain way.
Of course,
So-
they want to stay in charge.
Yeah, but it's moving. It's,
Yeah.
you know.
But it's great to hear because, you know, so first of all, I ask these questions because I'm like legitimately interested in this because I really want to know how it is over there.
Yeah.
As I said, I've seen a couple of places so far in my life, and I could, in poor countries, I could see, and when I spoke to people, I could listen to them and see how hard it must be for them in many different areas, like socially, economically, culturally, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just really interested so that I, as a person, get a better perspective of how it is in your country, because obviously here in Germany we have it so fucking good and we never even think about it. You know what I mean? Like most of the time, people take it as a normal thing.
Yeah.
The way we have it here, it's just normal. Must be pretty much the same everywhere else in this world, right?
Yeah.
No, obviously not.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested, and I want people who listen to this or seeing this realize that there are a lot of people in this world every day
Yeah.
who have it way worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's an important thing. But one thing that you just said, I thought was really interesting, because you said after you mentioned the fact that your president put this how's her name?
The Deputy Minister of Communication, she's younger than 30.
Yeah, put her in charge. You said that made you very proud.
It did.
So I think you didn't even realize you saying that, but I listened to it
Yeah.
and you said it, and I think that's a very, 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 very important thing, because here in Germany we don't have pretty much any young people in power.
No?
We just don't. I mean, I'm not. So in the last couple of years, I don't really follow politics that much as I used to. I still think it's a super interesting topic because it's so diverse and it's the most important thing besides economics.
Yeah.
But I think from what I know at the moment, all of the people that we have in power in the really important positions and even the less important positions, but still important positions, I think they are. I would have to guess, but I think there's nobody below 40, or even maybe I don't know, maybe below 45.
Yeah.
I hope I don't say anything wrong here. Could be that I'm just messing it up anyway. But most of the people are very old.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing from, or what I'm getting from this is that's in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
That's why we don't really have change in this country. That's why we are very, very stuck in. Obviously we have a lot of good systems, stuff in place which is good, it's well working, blah blah, but it takes ages. We don't really change. You and me, we spoke about the education system in Scandinavia here in Germany, where I told you about the fact that the Scandinavians are getting better and better and better, and we are just get left behind, so to speak. That has something to do with, in my opinion, if you shrink it down, it has something to do with the fact that there are so many fucking old people in our government who don't change shit, who don't have new ideas, and even if they would have, they don't implement them. They don't go out and do something about it. Maybe they have these ideas. I don't know them, but I can't see it. You know, I can't see real change in this country. So what I'm getting at is the fact that you guys are putting a lot of, well, at least one, younger person in power. That's a first step. Yeah. We don't have it here, and I can tell you from my perspective, or my way of thinking would be that you would have to have a certain, and it has to be set, it has to be written down in how would you say, like in papers,
You mean like the official
constitution
yes,
or
the
whatever
constitution,
kind of.
yes.
Yeah, in my opinion, you should have a certain percentage of young people under a certain age, let's say 40 for example, yeah, who have to be in power at in some position,
Yeah.
just in order to have to have someone who has new ideas, has energy, that tries to do something different,
Yeah.
and not just having old fucks doing nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and we don't have it. I think it would be a good idea. And when I see it in your country, I'm asking myself, what the fuck are we doing in Germany?
Yeah, I just remembered her name, the deputy minister. It's Emma Theophilus. She's currently the deputy minister of Ministry of Communications.
Yeah.
And I think she's doing amazing. The other young parliamentarian is Patience. She also is. Even if you go to her Instagram, maybe I'll give it to you after the podcast.
Yeah.
She speaks on behalf of the Namibian youth. It's almost it blows my mind every time how much they stand up for the young people, especially because we don't have anyone representing us. We have 90% of those people, 95% of those people are just older people. I'm talking about people who are still trying to live in the ways of 20, 30 years ago. And we're not going to move forward. The world is moving forward. And if the type of mindsets are just the old mindsets, then we're going to get stuck there. Do you get what I mean? So it's amazing that we already have a few young people in power. Hopefully that the part of politics changes a bit. But I mean, we still struggle a lot in terms of socioeconomic. It's really bad. I mean, at least 50% of Namibians live in shacks, for example. That's half the population of the entire country that live without sanitized water, that live in very unsanitary environments, no electricity. It's bad. It's really bad. There's a lot of inequality. So there's really that demarcation and that separation between the very rich people and the very very poor people, which is sad to see as a Namibian, because you're driving through a certain area and you're like, all these big houses and all these people with their white collar jobs and they're making a lot of money, and then you look at the other people who can't even afford decent meals, who can't even afford clean water. And we have other people in power who are sitting on tax money and literally just getting fatter and fatter on people's tax money, which is greedy. But there's always a couple of people who are really power hungry and who just become very greedy over time. And I think that's like everywhere in the world. It's not going to change much, where you always find people in power who just want more and more and more, and they're taking out of the hands and out of the mouths of people who actually need it. But Namibia still has a very, very long way to go. It's sad to say, but it's extremely
But I mean,
long.
when I hear this, at least you're starting. You know what I mean? So even if you have all these other problems, which are way bigger, in comparison to, let's say, Germany again, or the UK, France, whatever. You have a lot of things to do in those areas, obviously. But when I hear something like what you just mentioned with the girl who's in power now, that is actually way further. You guys are further ahead than we are in that tiny little aspect. You know, that's very good. But let me stop you right here. Let's make a quick break because I need to change the battery.
No problem.
And I need to get some coffee. And we're gonna be right back in a minute. So guys, we are back, and I was just saying to Z that I think she would make a great podcast host, and that you should start your own with whatever kind of topic or whatever you want to talk about anyway. But
if I eventually find a direction or something that I would like to focus on, then I might.
Yeah. But so where were we exactly? The social problems. The social problems in your country. I think people need to hear this. So let's go back a step back and try to explain to people how it is to go. It doesn't matter if you're a foreigner or somebody who lives in Namibia, but to go through let's say, a normal kind of suburb. If you compare it to Germany, the looks, the standard, the people that are walking in the streets, like with a bird's eye view, kind of. In what way or what ways is it different to here?
Well,
because I think when you think about it, if you try to explain to someone, imagine you walk through this suburb in Windhoek, yeah, and it's like this and it smells like that and people are like this, then people get a better impression of how it really is, except of just saying, yeah, we are quite a rich country in Germany, you know, and we have a flat and I live in this and blah blah blah. You'd be like, okay, so I heard this fucking million times, but how is it really? How does it look like? How does it feel?
That's a very deep question. But I would say when you walk into Windhoek suburbs, or Namibia as a whole, because I can't really speak for Namibia as a whole, but I'd like to think it's similar because I'm from Windhoek. I haven't lived anywhere else outside of Windhoek. But I would say it's very...
So Windhoek, by the way, is the capital, yeah?
Yes, which is where I'm from. So that's the one that has about 200,000 people. So Windhoek as a whole Windhoek is small, but it's big. It's big to people from outside of Windhoek, but it's very small to us. But if you had to just walk through...
is it the biggest city though?
I think it is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the biggest one. If you had to walk through it, it's full of... how do I describe this in proper words? It's full of... It's just... There's definitely like that separation that you can definitely see that separation. Let's say if you had to, like you're saying, the birds, you definitely see that big separation on how it looks to be on one side of the city and how it looks to be on the other side. So if you're coming in for the first time, I think it would immediately, what would capture you is how different because we are just one city, but you'd see how different the economy is and how well some people are living and how others aren't.
Yeah, so rich people and poor people, the classes.
You definitely see the classes immediately. I mean, it's not hard to point out. Yeah. You can definitely tell that this area of the city is definitely struggling. This one is doing much well, but we don't really. I wouldn't say it's as luxurious as here, for example. I mean, there are definitely people who own really big mansions, but you find that in different suburbs as well. Like for example, you'd find a big mansion in Kommersdal. Kommersdal is here. It's like you guys call it districts here. We call it like suburbs there. Yeah. But you'd find someone with a big mansion in suburb in Kommersdal, and Kommersdal is very close to the suburbs where you find the shacks. Yeah. So it's almost also up and down because. It's just...
But is there a separation then? Like, is there some kind of fence or something?
No.
So it's just open still?
Yeah. But people, as Namibians, we know where you are more likely to find the shacks. The shacks are in a place where, from Karatura. So Karatura is a suburb, district rather, where you are more likely to find the people from a lower earning income class. Yeah. And then you would find then... the Olympias, you'd find Kleine Cooper, you'd find Eros, you'd find Klein Windhoek, you'd find Avers, you'd find Ausblik. So if you go to Namibia and you said those and you mentioned what I just mentioned, you are expecting to find the people with the big mansions, the people with the G-Wagons, the people with the big cars. You're more likely to find the private schools. And when you go to Kommersdal, Karatura, we would start from Windhoek North, Windhoek West, Kommersdal, Karatura, Babylon. That's now where the shacks are. That's why I'm saying there is such a sad separation between the people, and for such a small
is there a middle class?
City, there is. I would put myself. Oh, I'm lying. I would put myself somewhere there, but there is a middle class. The middle class is probably Windhoek West. Yeah. So I would say. Klein Windhoek, Eros, Olympia, Avers, and then middle class here would be like Windhoek West, Windhoek North, and then obviously the rest here is the Karatura and the people who are mostly in the shacks.
Because you said 50% of roughly whatever 50%
more
of
than
people,
I think it's more than
50% still live in shacks.
Yes. Namibians live in shacks.
From my personal view, if you live in a shack, you're a poor person.
Yes.
Is that is it considered
yes.
the same way there?
It is. Because
Okay.
the thing is they live in unsanitary conditions. There's
Yeah.
no water, there's not clean water.
Yeah.
Drinking water. I mean, as a human being, you need basic
Yeah.
clean drinking water.
And they don't have it.
They don't have it.
That's crazy.
It is.
Okay, and so when it's 50%, how big is your middle class then? Like 40%?
I would say
45?
I'd say 40. 35.
Just roughly.
Yeah, I'd say 40. Yeah, between 35 and 40%.
That is so different to European countries.
Yeah.
Because here the big part, if you look at it like from 0 to 100, the big part is the middle class still. It's shrinking, slowly but steady. It's shrinking, but it's still like I don't know how the percentage now. I would have to look it up, but it's very different.
Yeah.
Like because even if you would just compare being a poor person in Europe, or let's say in the more developed countries within Europe, say UK, France, Germany, Austria, whatever, being a poor person, you still, I guess if you compare that person to a poor person in your country, that person would still be in the middle class, at least in the middle class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that there is a big difference.
There is.
Because when you speak about middle class in your country, that's pretty much like the poor class here, I
It's
reckon. Not
probably,
poor, but
yes.
somewhere there.
I mean, also it's in terms of the, I don't know, what you want to call it now, how we live. I mean, we don't earn, like I'm saying,
Yeah.
for example, the euro would do so much in Namibia.
Yeah.
If Namibia had to come here with their salary, it wouldn't do too much. But also that's in terms of the currency. The euro is super strong.
Yeah.
For us Namibians, but we also earn so little. I mean, there are definitely people that earn a lot in Namibian dollars.
Yeah.
But that's because they can live that specific life in Germany.
Yeah.
But if they had to use that Namibian salary,
Here.
they would probably fit into the middle
Yeah.
class. But in Namibia, they live
Yeah.
really super well. Do
Yeah.
you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the middle class people, I don't think it's a very big, it's not a big percentage. I mean, there are a lot of people, like I said, 50% at least. Maybe the number has gone up or reduced, but we have a lot of people living in, that's like half of our entire population living in shacks. That's heartbreaking. Half of our entire population
Yeah.
with no clean drinking water. Half of our population that probably doesn't have electricity.
Yeah.
Living in corrugated iron.
Yeah.
That's human beings. We're not talking about like some type of small shelter somewhere.
Yeah.
It's half of the entire population.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like it's just a 10% group of people.
How do those kind of people get water, get electricity, get food? How do they do it?
I mean, there are some people who definitely would take matters into their own hands, or from the municipality, and then they would install like municipality like lights or something.
Yeah.
But it's not stable. It's not
Yeah,
stable
right.
electricity. I mean, they're just out there in the open. It's not
Yeah.
like here.
Yeah.
So, and then the water is, I think, from like boreholes, or it's not clean, like it's not tap water
Yeah.
like we get. So
So they have to cook it then?
yeah, or boil it.
Or boil
Probably
it.
boil it if
Yeah.
you're trying to have it very, very clean. Because I mean, in those things, and where they collect drinking water is probably where
Yeah.
people are washing their laundry as well,
Yeah.
or where people are taking a bath. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on that source of water to be the
Yeah.
water that you're drinking.
Yeah.
So it can be very unhygienic as well. I mean, you could pick up different
Yeah.
viruses or diseases
Yeah.
just from that. So
And that is the basis of your country. Imagine this. There's
Yeah.
50% of people. That is
Oh,
the basis,
yeah.
pretty much.
I think that's like one of the most, if you ask any Namibian, that's probably the most heartbreaking statistic there is to just know that there is the number of Namibians. I'm not talking about other people who just came into Namibia.
Yeah.
The number of Namibians
Yeah.
that are living in such conditions, which is, I mean, I don't know the exact figure, but I think the last time I had was 50%. And I don't think that number has gone down since.
Yeah. Have you been in these areas?
Yes.
Okay. What
I have an
stuck with
aunt-
you the most?
For me, it's because I haven't been there in a really long time, But for me, it was just how far they have to travel, for example, for water. It can be far. I mean, some are obviously closer to the borehole or whatever it is, but then, for example, us. I mean, I was grateful. We just had a tap in the kitchen, or we had a tap in the bathroom, or wherever. They have to travel distances with bottles on their hand, over their shoulders or whatever, to go and actually collect water to bath, and then they need to have like big barrels of water where they collect water. For me, that was just because I grew up. I've been there because I have an aunt that's there, but for me, it's just how different we were. I mean, we had a running shower, running thing where you can bath, a tub where you can bath, and they don't do that. They have to spare water because the water is so scarce that they literally need a little bucket of water. That same barrel of water is for cooking, it's for drinking water, it's for taking a bath, it's for your laundry. So, I mean, they also have times, I think, where they can run out of water because the municipality isn't supplying enough water in that source of water that they have, which is sad because I think water is even supposed to be free, in my opinion. I think water, I mean, you can charge for electricity, that's okay, but water, I think everyone is supposed to have access to clean drinking water. Everywhere in the world, not just Namibia, but...
And by the way, everyone could have clean water. It's just that people, like certain people, certain companies, certain whatever, don't want you to have it. That's just, it really is the way it is. It's the same with food. Like, and that is since years already. That thing is done since years. People, like every person on this planet could be fed easily, but we don't do it because it's, for example, people don't pay enough. You don't get enough money out of it. It would be super easy. For example, what was the example again? Like, if you would take all the grains that a cow eats and not give it to a fucking cow in order to get 1 kilogram of meat, you would get I don't know the number, but you would get so much other kind of foods from that you could feed like a certain amount of people, which is way higher than this fucking 1 kilo of, you know what I mean? So basically we could do that, but we don't. Same thing with water, and I'm with you on this. In my opinion, all that stuff should be completely free. Everybody should have the
access to water.
The access to it, but it's just the way it is. But that stuck with you like the most. And for you as a, like, since you have the opportunity to come here to Germany and see how we live, travel different places in Europe now, it must be giving you a very good perspective on things.
Oh, it is. Because I'm realizing actually how different things are in other continents or in other countries. I mean, for one, it's just how, I mean, I've been to like, and this is probably going to be like a silly example, but I think it's a very interesting example. Kevin and I went to the village like where his mom lives, and he showed, and he called it a village. He called it a village, and I was a bit confused because our villages are made out of thatched wood, like lapas and stuff. Do you get what I mean? So I was a bit like confused because there's no way that you guys are calling that. What is the area? Is it Mashin? There's no way. There's no way that they're calling that a village, because you had to Google the villages in the northern Namibia. They don't look anything like that. Mashin looks like what I would say is even maybe middle class or like
a little higher.
Than. So so it's things like that. I'm realizing how different, like also the infrastructure, how different it is. Another thing is Namibia is known for funny. I mean, I believe it, but I kind of don't. But Namibia is known for having one of the best roads. I think it's in the world. Or in Africa, roads.
Okay.
Namibia is known for it. But I kind of believe it because in Germany the roads here are so narrow. It gives me anxiety every time. And I'm just trying to imagine. I think if I had to drive in the streets of Germany or in Hamburg where I've been now, it's gonna be a bit scary. I don't know why, but I'm wondering why you guys' roads are super narrow. And I don't know why they're like so little, but So I that's where I'm starting to believe that Namibia actually has one of the best roads. But yeah, I think obviously the economic status is a lot different in terms of infrastructure and schools, but we are nowhere close to you guys. Put it out there.
How about crime? That's something that interests me a lot, because since you have a very obviously poor country, like as you mentioned, 50% of people are poor. I guess your crime rate is pretty high. So how does it play out though? Like how is the so let's put it differently.
Yeah.
If we talk about crime in Germany or anywhere in Europe, probably, I guess you wouldn't call that proper crime in Namibia. Yeah, crime here, it can be I stole something small in the fucking supermarket and therefore I get a big fine, and you get like something is gonna be written down in all your papers and all that kind of shit. And like something hitting someone in the face would be maybe considered as, I don't want to say crime, but something that like, you really did this, like you really had a fight on the open street with someone and you knocked him out and whatever. I guess that's not what you guys would call crime.
No.
That's like a normal day-to-day
Yes.
day-to-day action there.
Yeah.
So where's the difference there? What does crime look like in Namibia?
So
because Kevin told me about it a little and I was just like, what the fuck?
Well, to start with, we have a very high gender-based violence rate in Namibia. It's very sad. Women are killed, children are killed a lot.
Yeah.
Like abusive relationships and stuff like that. So there's a lot of GBV that's happening in Namibia as of now. But then we also have a lot of people who just rob you. Yeah. And I'm not trying to justify it, but it also might have to do a lot with the economy situation. Like, people are struggling a lot, and some are coming from impoverished backgrounds, and they're just trying to make ends meet. I mean, we don't have many opportunities to make it far in life in Namibia. I mean, you pretty much, if you can get to university, you get to university, but even graduates, I'm talking about people with big degrees, can sit without a job for months, for years. So sometimes people are really struggling to just make an income. So I guess they find alternatives to make ends meet. But the crime it's high, but I wouldn't say it's as bad as maybe some other countries. But I obviously cannot do a comparison now, because it's not like I've been everywhere in the world, but it can get bad.
But see, what I'm trying to get to here is, Kevin told me about these couple of incidents where, as you said, and I don't know if I get this correctly, but in some families that people are killing each other on a day-to-day basis, and that's like not even in the news anymore, kind of.
GBV.
Like if like here it would be a fucking huge thing.
Yeah, it's GBV.
Yeah.
So abusive homes, abusive relationships, boyfriends killing their girlfriends, wives killing. It's everywhere. I think there's not a week that goes by where it happens, but this mostly happens in, I think it's the Ohangwena or Musati region. So we have 13 regions in Namibia, and Windhoek is in Khomas region. So Windhoek is not as vile. I want to say it's not as vile. There's not too much GBV in Windhoek specifically. Yeah. But we do have a lot of hate crimes. Not hate crimes. Passionate. I want to call it passionate crimes, where boyfriends are just killing. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of broken men in Namibia who just they lash out on their partners. It happens every now and again.
Why is that, do you think? Is that because they're angry at other things?
Possibly. They're possibly redirecting their anger onto the wrong things. But I think a lot of men, especially, well, I can't speak for men from the Western side, but like a lot of African men, for example, but generally men growing up, you're told not to express yourself. You're told not to cry. You're told not to. That's
okay.
that's what I was trying to say earlier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of traumatic experiences only manifest themselves later,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that's not me trying to justify it,
Mm-hmm.
but you then lash out and
Yeah.
pour out your anger onto the wrong people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's bad. There's
Yeah.
a lot of bloodshed in relationships in Namibia sometimes.
And gun violence is quite a big thing there too.
Yeah, but I think I would say stabbing mostly.
Stabbing.
Yeah, but it's not like so big. It's not as bad as South Africa, like the crime rate.
Yeah.
But then that's also because we are such a small population.
Yeah.
It's bad
Yeah.
looking from the inside out
Yeah.
because we are such a small population. But
Yeah.
for example, you can't compare the entire South Africa with Namibia's crime.
Yeah. Yeah, so you
yeah.
would just have to compare it by percentage.
Yes.
Obviously, that's
Yeah.
what you would do. But I'm just asking because, for example, if you would hear somebody somewhere on the street or even in a home, whatever, stabbing the other person, that would be a fucking huge thing here. Like it would go through the news and everything. And from what I've heard so far, and now what you're saying, that's basically a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
Kind
But
of.
It is reported in the news. It's just, I don't know. But it is, you see it a lot in the newspapers. You see it a lot in the news. It's everywhere. I mean, maybe they don't report each and every one of them, but then I see enough in the news for me to think that they actually report it enough. But yeah, it's a very sad reality. I think there are a lot of people who come from broken homes.
Yeah.
Like, these are probably broken adults, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's people who have gone through who knows what. So sometimes when you're walking through life and you meet different people, so I always say, like, always try to be kind to everyone that you meet, because you have no clue what anyone is going through. And sometimes you are having such a bad experience already that the only thing you need to make you feel better, or before you actually lash out, is one nice thing said from someone.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna literally change your entire day, your perspective, your life, for that matter.
Yeah.
So we all going through like something, and sometimes these people who are committing those crimes are just completely shattered, broken people who have not gotten 1 ounce of love in their life. And I'm not saying what they did is right, but then some people are really lacking when it comes to the love department, and some people just need love.
Yeah.
A hug.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a better understanding of why they're doing it then, you know. So going from, I really want people to hear this, because it's most people cannot even imagine what you're saying here, you know, like they think it's so far away, but actually having someone here, sitting here and talking about this is just very valuable in my opinion. But let's go from this quite negative thing to a positive question I want to ask is, what do you like? What makes Namibia and Namibians as people special? What would you say? You're fun? We have somebody laughing in the background.
Because he knows I am very fun. No, I think Namibians are very fun and welcoming.
Yeah.
Yes, they will accommodate the hell out of you if you find the right group of people. But we know how to have a good time.
Yeah.
That is me speaking from experience. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
We know how to have an amazing time. We are a small group of people, millions, but a very small group of people. So it's hard to make someone feel left out. It makes you look like a shit person if you're making people making people feel left out. But we know how to have an amazing time. I think we're very accommodative. Well, at least speaking from my own perspective, and of course the people that I know, we like making people have an amazing time, because our country isn't known for too many great things historically. So it is important to me that when people come, they feel like they're at home. And I think Namibians they know how to make people feel at home. I mean,
That's
when
nice.
Kevin came to Namibia for the first time, I think he was the first, babe, you were the first client that they've had since COVID really hit, right?
Yeah,
At the guest house. He was the first one, so he made their entire business. You get what I mean? So, because many accommodation places, people like businesses in the hospitality industry, closed down because of COVID. COVID obviously we know that, but my boyfriend was one of the first people to revive this business.
Woo!
And they danced for him.
Yeah.
They
I saw the video.
Yeah, they just made him feel so special.
Yeah.
And when Namibia is actually known for its tourism, it's how well they do in the tourism industry. We have so many beautiful places that you can go to.
Yeah.
The desert, I mean, where the desert meets the ocean.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's beautiful, but we are known for, in general, one word or two words, I would say, or three, a great time.
Okay.
I would say it's a great time. I mean, we don't have a lot of fun like excursions and stuff that we can do, but we believe in our beer. Well, this is not beer, but you get the point. We believe in our beer and just having a united front and just enjoying our time. So if you ever came to Namibia,
so you guys are proud about yourself more than about the country itself.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Thank you.
Ah.
You put it correctly.
See?
We are more proud about ourselves as people than generally the country, because the country has a much longer way to go than the people themselves.
Yeah.
So, but that's also something I think that many people have come to terms with. Well, I have.
Yeah.
Because you can't really change the country much, but then you can definitely change how you move as a person in the country, how... That's where it starts, right? Yeah, that's where it starts, because you're not going to be able to change the ways of politics or the policymakers, etc. But you can definitely change how you are as a person in the country.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So I just like having fun, because I mean, even outside of that, we've all gone through shit. So I'm just trying to live as free-spirited as possible, just live my life, because I don't come from a country that has so much, but as long as we're happy, we're good. Yeah, but y'all should come. It's beautiful. I'll host you.
Yeah,
I'll host you.
I will come for sure anyway. But so as I said to you, I want people to also get to know you. We've done that a little, but I think we can go a little deeper into things. So I have a question for you. Do you have some kind of role model? Somebody you aspire?
No, my role model is myself. That's probably very... It might be cliche to say, but the reason why I've never had a role model before, because I always want certain things for myself, and it can be simple things like wanting a certain type of car, but the only way that I'm going to get that car is if I work hard for it myself. So I've never, unfortunately, and that might be like sad to some people, but I've looked up to certain people as inspiration or as motivating factors or something.
Yeah.
But I don't have a role model. My role model is pretty much who I want to be for myself, who I want to be in a few years from now, the type of mother that I'd want to be one day, the type of wife, the type of person that I'd want to be for myself, the type of friend. So pretty much what I do or how I am as a person is for myself and those around me. It has nothing to do with anyone else but I have people that I look up to. I have older friends. I only have 2 younger friends in my life. Most of my friends are much, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, or like coaches and stuff, but no role model. I just do everything that I do, or everything that inspires me is to be a much better version of
I get
myself.
it. A better version of yourself.
I don't have role models.
But that starts. So you would consider, I guess, that's just a guess. You would consider yourself being quite self-aware. Is that correct?
Yes, I'd like to think so.
Because what I've learned in my life so far is people who are actually having a certain vision, a certain picture about themselves in the future, they have to be aware of themselves, because if they don't like look in the mirror, so to speak, and see what kind of person they are now and where they want to go, then they like there has to be awareness, obviously, in as in you as a person, so to speak.
Yeah.
And do you like besides that, what kind of I would say core values do you carry?
Oh, simple. I think it's being.
And why, also?
Mine would just be to be kind. Well, it's again cliche, but it's because life has been unkind to me. So I mean, I think it's for me. It's being kind and just treating people with respect, very much, because I did, and I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I grew up with a roof over my head. I went to a private school at some point. But then I've also had a very drastic shift in my life at some point. And I've gone through ups and downs, and I've had to grow faster than I'm supposed to. And through all these stages of my life, I didn't necessarily experience complete kindness the way I was supposed to, or at the stage that I was supposed to. So for me, it's very important to just always be kind to or be nice. I want to say, maybe it's the same thing or two different things, but
because you were wishing for it yourself.
Yes, because I didn't get much of it.
Yeah.
So I think everyone needs it, because I don't know what you're going through. I mean, some of my friends don't know half of the things that I probably went through until a certain stage when I finally opened up about it.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't necessarily be kind to me, or people wouldn't be kind to you, but then it's just people go through so many different things and you don't know anything about it. So, and sometimes all I needed then as a kid was just for more love or more kindness. So the way I try to treat people now is just with that, because I have no idea what the next person is going through. We can be sitting in a bar right now, but I'm not going to treat you like shit just because I don't know you, because I really don't know you. I really don't know what you've been through. And like I was saying, there are some people who might be suicidal, for example. This might be sensitive, but there might be people who are suicidal, and you're sitting with them in a bar, and they were thinking of committing suicide right after that drink that they were having. And you just said something so nice. So you guys were just having a heart-to-heart conversation. When that person goes home, instead of doing what they wanted to do, they're going to actually look at life in a much different way. But the other thing is just being respectful. It's just being kind and just treating people with respect. Because I think in life, it's very crazy how life works. How roles can change. One day you're treating someone like shit, and the next day you actually need them for something. You know, so you can't go around life just treating people like they didn't matter, because you're not treating them good because you need them someday, but you're treating them with respect because they're actually a human being.
And you believe in it.
Yes, and because the world is so cruel, Jesus Christ. I've seen people go through a lot of things, and I told you about the YouTube channel that it's so sad. I think I've cried a couple of times with that show, but only because I realized how hard some people have it, and they haven't been given 1 ounce of respect. Not because they were a kid, because they had this, but because they were just a human being, and they just needed to be treated.
It's beautifully
like
said.
a human being.
Beautifully said. But why do you choose that route? Because you come from a place where you say, okay, I had quite a rough time, and I had stuff happening to me, and I sometimes didn't get the respect or the love or whatever that people or humans in general are supposed to have. Now you have two options. Option A is what you did. Well, let's call that option B. Option B is the better option. But you could also have chosen option A, meaning being a fucking dick and being even worse to other people as well. So why choosing route B?
Because it won't make me happier. So it's also a very personal thing. I know it sounds selfish, but if I'm treating the next person like shit, it's not gonna make me feel nice. So maybe it is selfish, but I care a lot about my conscience as well, because I'm not going to treat you like shit if it's going to make me feel bad. I mean, it will definitely make you feel bad because I treated you like shit, but it's more important to me that I don't carry it on my conscience that I was such a shit person to someone else. So I guess it's for personal gain also, because I don't want to come out looking like a bad person, but it's also for me because I know that I probably will not be able to sleep at night knowing that I treated someone a certain way. But it's also for the next person. So after it being important for me, it's for the next person. So, because like I said, I mean, I've gone through life and I've been through like mental dumps, for example. Like mentally, I was just in the dumps, and someone said, I went out and maybe someone said something so kind to me, very unexpected, but it was the best thing that I've heard in a long time. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Where you're just having such a shit week or shit, and someone just says something. It can even be a friend who just suddenly just texted you something, and it would warm your heart for the entire day or for the entire week. You know, it's things like that. So if I can make myself go to bed with a clean conscience and knowing that I did something great and making sure that I actually made someone's day or made someone change their mind about something, that's great.
This is great. You know, this is great because people can actually learn from this. You know, I always say you have to a certain degree, you have to be egotistical. You have to be in different areas of your life in order to feel good about yourself as a human being, and then spread that to other people. Because if you're not, I don't want to use the cliche word happy, but if you're not confident in yourself, if you don't like yourself, if you can't really live with yourself for whatever reason, then how the fuck do you want to transfer any kind of positivity or value to other people? So it all starts always starts with yourself, and I think that's what you're saying. If I like myself and I can be nice to myself, I can be nice to other people, and that again is good for me.
Yes.
So being like, how would you say, egocentrical?
Egocentric.
Egocentric is kind of a good thing to a certain degree, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it's in a healthy way,
Yeah.
And I mean, I've not always, and it might come with maybe like I have like, I'm over boosting myself confidently, but I've not always been this. I've never always had a great self-esteem. For example, I had to learn how to be confident in myself, to love myself to a certain extent. I needed to do that for myself, and I finally got to a point where I realized that I cannot pour from an empty cup, for example. Like you said, like I can't give you love if I don't have it with myself, and it makes me feel great. Yes, it makes me feel great. It sounds selfish again, but it makes me feel great that I can make you feel great. So we both winning here. But it's positive vibes. It's all good vibes. Like I don't know. It's just.
And you're right. You can't pour from an empty cup. The thing is, to give you an example from my from me personally, how I try to do it these days is, so I want to, as I said, I want to feel confident. I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel like I'm strong. I want to feel smart and just powerful. All the good stuff that everybody wants. So what do? Obviously I try to give people value as much as I can, as a friend, as a stranger, whatever. But what I also try to do is I try to work on myself in any area of my life. Meaning, I do try to do a lot of sports. I try to be healthy. I try to do something for my brain, read, try to listen to podcasts, try to do everything that I can in order to be, as you said, a better human being in the future. And I'm working on it today so that I can help other people with it, you know. And that's how I like, that's the practical thing about it, how I do it. Because most people, you know, they run around and they say something like, I try to I try to spread love, I try to do this, and I'm this kind of person, and blah blah blah. Okay, but what do you practically do in order to
get there?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what most people miss. And I like that you're being honest with it, to say, okay, one character trait of mine, or because I asked you initially, how would you describe yourself, or what's a good character trait about you, and you said, I'm a loving person, I try to spread love. But that's like, okay, so but what does it mean practically? What do? You say you try to comfort people, try to say something nice, and being that honest to say, okay, I'm not only doing it to make you feel nice, that's one part, but the other part is being egotistical. And that's egocentrical, and that's completely fine, but that's a practical thing. People can use this, meaning sometimes try to be more focused on your own. Yeah, and maybe that helps you to bring value to other people.
Quick question: why do you think some people are shit to other people?
What do you mean, like generally speaking?
Yes. Why do you think you just walk in the street and someone just said something rude to you? Don't you think it's because they are unhappy with themselves?
Like if you boil it down to like, if you really boil it down, it probably has something to do with that, like being unhappy with yourself. But I can give you a good example. I had it, so today is Sunday. I had it last week on Saturday, I think. I did my morning running, and I'm usually running in the streets here in this area. Yeah. And there was this one guy, super big dude, strong dude, like a fucking superhuman being.
Macho.
Yeah, exactly. On his bicycle with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was running on the street on the right side. Usually, obviously, there is a pathway where you can run there, like normal people would do. I'm not a normal person, so I fucking run on the street. Yeah, but I was running on the right side, so I'm not blocking anyone. But he was passing by and saying something in the terms of, what are you fucking doing here? There's a pathway, you idiot. Like being rude and making, In that case, for example, it doesn't really have anything to do, I think, with that he's unhappy with himself. He just wanted to show off in front of his girlfriend. So I couldn't tell you why people are not nice to other people. I think it really depends on the situation they are in right now, and what kind of situation is happening right now. And as you said before, you never know what that person is going through at this particular moment. You never know.
Yeah, but the reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to sort of pinpoint why some people say hurtful things to other people. It's because they are also hurt. Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, they're not necessarily happy with themselves. So hence why I am very much focused on trying to then pour from a full cup, or pour from a point of happiness or positivity in order to give to you. Because if I'm not in a great mood, then I absolutely probably will not. So that's human beings for you. It is like that. I mean, I can probably be the nicest person, or you can be the nicest person, but you're not always going to be nice.
Yeah, but okay, now I get the question.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Okay, so now, but my personal answer is very, very simple. So if you feel bad as a person, it doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person, generally speaking. If you try to put other people down, why would you do that? That's what I would ask. Why would you? That's what you're asking. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Because I feel bad. I want you to feel bad too, so that I'm not the only fucking person who feels bad.
Exactly.
Right? And you can transfer this idea to anything. So if there's a person who is has a lot of self-confidence for whatever reason, why that is, because they work so hard every day for certain things, they do everything they can in order to develop, and then they gain self-confidence. What does the average fuck do? It tries to put you down onto their level. Yes. And it's always the same thing. Yeah. And as you said before, or we said before, it always starts with yourself. And most people just do that because they see other people being happy, being confident, being successful, being whatever, and they can't deal with it. Yeah. They just can't. Because they are not.
Yeah. Hence why you should have I'm not saying be overly confident, but that's why you need to be so self-aware of yourself and just, I guess, love yourself so much. Because the thing is, human beings are always going to say something about the next person. I mean, society does it every day.
Of course.
But the thing is, if you're going to be moved by everything that someone says about you or what society says about you, then you're probably going to be in circles every time, because you're not going to have one direction.
Yeah.
You're going to go with whatever it is that society is saying, whatever it is that's trending, which means that your personality is then also going to be very fluid, because personality defines who you are as a person. But if your personality is just fluid and you're just going with what society is saying, that means you might probably have like 5 different personalities every day.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So yeah, it's just being self-aware of who you are. I think what's very important is also just having your values and your principles always leveled, because a lot of things can change, but if your values also always change, then you have a problem. But
Yeah, but then I would raise the question, what values do you really have?
Exactly, because then you don't really actually have like
Core values.
exactly, because your values are supposed to stay the same.
Yeah.
You're supposed to believe in one
I mean,
thing.
you can change
can.
them, but it like the core of it won't change.
Yes, because that's who you really, I guess, are. Who like, those are the ones that define you as a real person, you know.
But one thing I want to add to this, what you just said about, because sometimes you really don't know. Sometimes somebody could just have have a really bad day. Could be a super nice human being, a good person, and he's just angry as fuck because of something that happened in his life or something negative happened, and then he just lashes out. Yeah. Could also happen. I can actually give you I just want to say, you never know what the person is going through, as you've said. I can give you quite a funny, not a funny example, but an example from when I was traveling through Thailand.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it's still on my mind, this situation. There was this guy from, so I was on an island. What was the name? It was not Ko PP. Doesn't matter, Ko whatever. And it was like my last trip in, or my last place that I wanted to go to in Thailand. And I met this Spanish guy. And he was seeing me, the way I acted with the women over there, like not the Thai women, just the women who were in this hostel that we stayed at and stuff. And he thought that I was quite confident in myself, and he wasn't. And I was watching him all the time, like in between sometimes, and I was like, because I was quite, how would you say, I was thinking like, you poor guy, kind of, because he was a very nice guy. I spoke to him before. I was like, why don't you talk to people, man? You have a lot of, you're a good guy, man. You're a very good guy. You can do better.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything. And then he told me about like certain things that happened, that happened in his life, where he lost a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And obviously any person from the outside can't see that.
Of course.
So, and then I said to him, something along the lines of, man, honestly, the way you speak to me, that's like, you're very smart. That's very, you should have confidence, man.
Yeah.
And the next time you go, like, you find a girl attractive, you go to her. I told him that. I was like, you go to her, you be a fucking peacock. Yeah, you be macho man.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get that number next time.
Yeah.
And I was looking in his eyes, and he was like, looking like, what is wrong with Christian? And I told you, do that, and I promise you, because you're a fucking great guy, you're gonna get that number, and eventually something will happen.
Yeah.
Watch what happens. 2 weeks later, or 1 or 2 weeks later, he messages me via Facebook, and he says, thank you. Like, he was like, thank you, Christian. Like, seriously, thank you for giving me that confidence, because I met a girl here in another hostel now, and I really like her. I got, as you said, I went to her, I got her number, and now I hook up with her. I hooked up with her 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just, so what I really want to say here is, when I think about this, I'm like, I always think back and think, man, you really don't know people. You just don't. You never can tell. You can never tell what kind of person is behind this
face. Nope, you
face.
can't.
You just can't. You know, from the outside, it was this tiny, small dude being very quiet. But if you get behind the curtain, that person was a super nice dude.
Yeah.
And he deserved better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, it's just, you meet and there are like more than 7 billion people in this world, and you think you can decipher or like have an idea of who someone is just by walking by them.
Yeah.
Or treat them a certain way.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, and this is something I've learned so much. That's also why I started changing the way, because I'm a nice person generally, but I was never very. I also have like a very resting bitch face. I've always had a resting bitch face. So I used to be known as also someone who's not very approachable.
Okay.
But then when you get to know me and when we start talking, then it's a whole lot different. But I'm also trying to change my resting bitch face now because I want people to feel welcome. Because I realized that even though I am a nice person, that's never gonna change.
Yeah.
My resting bitch face might be something that pushes people away. That it might be something that doesn't allow people to warm up to me. And I'm not saying that I want so many people to warm up to me, but it allows people to feel a lot more comfortable. So if you don't know me, you won't know that I'm a nice person. But if those who know me would know. So it's almost like I had to change that because so many people are going through a lot and they just want someone to talk to sometimes, or they just want to confide in someone. So you're never going to figure out who someone really is. I mean, we all make our conclusions about people when you walk into a room, but you have no idea what traumas they went through. I mean, when they were 5, when they were 6 years old, when they were 10.
Yeah.
But then now they are a full-grown adult and they have a much better way of dealing with it. So you're not going to see it the moment you walk into a room. But if you walk into a room of 5-year-olds who were just hit by their mom or their dad a night before, it's probably going to show.
Yeah.
Because it's a kid, they're fragile, they don't know how to hide their emotions, they don't know how to bottle up those emotions. You get what I mean? So as adults, I think adults are most actually people. Besides, I used to always think that kids do need more love, and it's true, but I think adults need just as much love because even our parents probably went through shit, but they didn't have therapy. They didn't have therapy 50 years ago. But we do now have that luxury. So we are more inclined to go to therapy, open up. We are more inclined to healing. We understand what anxiety is. We understand what depression is. Do you get what I mean? Our parents don't. Maybe that's why sometimes they are the way that they are, because they just didn't have the opportunity to be nice people. They didn't have the opportunity to heal, and they went through stuff as well. You know, but so I'm realizing. I think that's why I'm also giving like my parents grace. Obviously, I'm not justifying how certain parents treat their kids, but then I'm also trying to realize that our parents grew up in a different era. So they definitely didn't grow up with therapists. They don't know. I mean, when I first told my dad that I was seeing a therapist for the first time and I told him what the therapist said, he laughed at me. He thought it was a joke. I mean, I was on his medical aid. And I went to the doctor using his medical aid. And he probably got the notification, but he didn't check it. And then I told him because my therapist at the time told me that I actually have to tell my father that I'm seeing a therapist. And so he laughed, and I'll never forget this day. It's funny now talking about it because I am realizing that maybe he was just not aware also very much. He's not educated much on the topic of mental health and stuff like that. So
but it's funny to see the difference from a person who is older and someone who is young. In that regard I want to ask you
am I allowed to get to the toilet?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Of course. Okay. Guys, we're having a break. We're going to be back in a second.
I don't want to interrupt you.
All right, my friends, we're back. So we're both better now. But where have we been? I forgot.
You were going to ask me.
Anyway, I have a question for you anyway, which is completely off topic. So if you could put up a billboard at at a place where millions and millions and millions of people go by every day and see the billboard, what would you put on?
Jeez, you're picking my brain. Flip. This is hard because I believe in certain causes, in different causes. So I would put something that I would believe in a cause that is very close to my heart. So
Yeah.
that's something that I would put there. That is.
It doesn't have to be one thing, it could be more, but I'm just wondering.
Jeez. It's tough. I think it would have to do something with mental health. But I'm just thinking of the correct way to put it. But probably something that has to do with mental health because I've been there and I'd like to think that many people go through it, but it's just not wildly spoken about. So if you had to see it on a billboard, it would help you. I think it would help someone in a certain way. So if
Meaning
you are,
something like go get help or...
no, go get help sounds too cliche. Everyone says go get help.
Yeah.
No, not go get help, but something very encouraging for themselves. Something that so a message. I can't think of it now, but basically, what I can tell you though is that it should be a message that is not only encouraging for themselves within themselves, but also a message that would basically help them get to the first step that they need to get help. So whether you need help whether you need to go to rehab to get the help or go to therapy, something very catchphrasey. But for me, it's just I think it's just mental health and self-care. Mine would have to be mental health and taking care of yourself because for me those two go hand in hand. Because if you're not okay mentally, how can you take care of everything else? You know. So you'd need to take care of yourself mentally because for me self-care also means mental health. Because the way I got into self-care is through my struggles with mental health and anxiety and all of that stuff. So I had to figure out ways on how to care for myself very intentionally so that I don't experience that part mentally, that the mental part stuff. So I'm not sure what it is, but if I think of like a very strong, maybe throughout the conversation I'll think of something, but you get what I mean. It should be very catchy.
And you would encourage people to take the first step, really, right?
So basically, yes, encouraging people to take the first step.
You know what I always said to my to people that I like and value, whether that's friends or family who had to go to a therapist and didn't want to do it in the first place or whatever. I always said to them, because I have been twice in my life already, and I think it's a good thing to do if you need help. But it is hard to go there at first, you know. So I told them, you know, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. That's basically what I told them. So that might be like not the catchiest phrase, but it's something that you could put on those kinds of big billboards, maybe.
Yeah, because I've never, I mean, the reason why I wanted to be, why I would want it to be very catchy is because I've never always believed in therapy very much. But even though I've been to 3 different therapists since 2015, I haven't been consistent, but the first time I went to therapy, I was prescribed certain medication. But Jesus. I threw it, But then I threw it away. I threw the meds away because I just didn't believe in it. But I think that also worked partially because for me, I was in a moment where I was very stubborn. So that's why I threw the medication away because I felt like I could fix my own problems. Like I could do it myself. And I did for a while. I didn't need medication because I just felt like it was a state of mind situation. I just felt like I could get out of a certain situation mentally if I forced myself to get out of it. But what I didn't understand was it takes healing. Because you can't just jump out of one bubble and into the next. You can't jump out of one traumatic experience and then into a healthy environment the next day. It takes a lot of work. Hence why I then decided to do it again.
Yeah.
Because it's a step-by-step process. And we all know that healing takes time.
Yeah.
That's probably why people would not go to therapy in the first place, because it is not it's not an easy journey. I will tell you that, because you need to almost relive your experience again. Because the only way you're going to get to the end is by talking about what happened in between. So that's the only thing I don't like about therapy. But in order for you to heal, sometimes you need to sort of relive and sort of understand, because you need to understand how you came to point Z and why certain things sort of happen for you to get to got to point. So how you got to point D.
Yeah. You have to understand point A.
Exactly.
But this is very interesting. Let's stick with this, because let's make it positive and negative. Like, I'm the negative guy and you're the positive person. That. Yeah, because it is a very interesting topic, because I think these days many people have psychological issues in to whatever degree. We all have them. And a lot of people don't deal with it. That's why suicide rates are going up every year a little, especially during the last 3 years anyway. But that's maybe a different, like a special kind of thing. But take that out, still suicide rates are going up. Yeah. And people need to do something about it. And I think it's a very, not just interesting topic, but it's something that has to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And, but I think a good way to discuss the whole topic is always when somebody is like, for example, you being pro taking care and going to someone, seeing someone, and me being like, okay, this is complete bullshit. Like, what the fuck? I'm not saying I'm on this side. Yeah, and I'm not saying on the other side. Actually, I'm somewhere in between. To be honest with you, if I'm talking about my personally, I think that if you really have issues, if you have proper issues that are based on like serious shit that happened to you, let's say abuse, let's say 3 people dying within fucking 3 months that you loved by whatever, by some disease, the other one got driven over by a car, and then I don't know what else, and that just, or you've seen somebody taking his life, whatever, could be anything. That's serious shit.
Yeah.
But then I see many people these days in real life and on the internet. That's how I feel and how I see it as a person, that are just complaining and doing this mental, I'm so I don't know, everything is bad, I'm getting punished every day, poor me kind of thing. Where they put themselves into a negative place. Victimizing you. Yeah, victimizing yourself. And for me, to be honest with you, that's being a little bitch. Yeah, and I think there is a certain line, but I can see both sides. But in this case, I'm gonna be the guy now who's trying to like put some negative light on this, and will tell you why the fuck
are you bitching?
Yeah, why the fuck would you, being a little bitch with everything, and run to some doctor, or whatever, instead of taking care of your shit and being a grown up, not you, but generally speaking, about society. Yeah. Because I see both. I can see both. I can see the real value in it, and I can see a lot of people just being fucking weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think I've mentioned this before, and because I think I once got into it wasn't a fight, but was opposing opinions with a friend, where she tried to, and I told her she was undermining other people's trauma. Okay. And I felt that she was undermining other people's trauma, because what I've heard is, because like I said it in the beginning, I sometimes have imposter syndrome. So what that does is it kind of makes you feel like either any positive thing that you're getting you don't deserve, or it's almost like saying you went through a certain type of trauma, but it's not as traumatic as someone else's experience. So I think that is unfair to be that type of person, because what you're doing is you are trying to, firstly, you're trying to measure how much trauma someone has gone through, or you're trying to say that what they experience is not enough for them to be feeling a certain way, which is unfair, because you don't know what it was for them. Yes, it might sound like it wasn't all that bad from your perspective, or look from you looking outside in, it might not sound that bad. I mean, my life, for example, like I said, I had a roof over my head for the longest. It's not like I was kicked out in the streets or whatever. I did go to a private school at some point. I always had food on my table, but I've also had like other really, really bad experiences, but I don't let those define me. So there is a difference. The only way that I would maybe call someone a pussy, but I'd use another word, is when they let what broke them define them moving forward. Then I would call you a pussy. But if you let something that really destroyed you determine how you're going to treat people, for example, then I would call you a fucking coward. Or then I would be like, no, but you're just a shit person. Because you don't see me hitting people just because I saw my dad hitting my mom. Do you get what I mean? So that's when I would call you something like a coward. But I think the key is to never undermine people's trauma, because it might have been the smallest thing to you, looking from the inside outside in, like I said, but maybe it was the worst thing of their life because they've never experienced any other trauma. Do you get what I mean? So some kids, all they earned or all they yearned for was love, but their parents never said I loved you to them. For someone else, it would be like, but you had your parents. Whether they said I love you or not, it doesn't matter. But that specific kid, they just needed their parent to say I love you. But you get my point.
I totally get it, because I see it the same way. But where do you think is the line between being a little bitch and actually actually saying this is some kind of trauma, this is some kind of like very dark shit that happened to someone? Where is the line? Like, I'm getting the point that the line is different for everyone, you know. So something that you experience as a person being super fucking horrible, for me it would be like, okay, well, like,
for me,
I do get that point, but we have to, in order to speak about it and say, okay, this is really bad, like this has to be taken care of. And this, honestly, let's be honest, this is on the other side. This is not too bad. Like, come on, there has to be. Obviously, that's a fine line. But there has to be a line. Where do you cross the line?
For me, the line might not be completely related to the trauma, but for me, the line is just how you're treating people outside of your trauma. Because just because you went through something doesn't mean you should move on in that way. That is where that line is drawn for me. Because I've met people who have gone through certain traumas in life. But the moment you start acting like your traumas and continuously being that person that your trauma has made you, then that's where the problem comes. Because like I said, you could have gone through something, but then you need to change your mindset completely, because you can't be a bad person just because you went through some horrible things. That's where I draw the line. And I've had this conversation with someone before, where I tell them, just because you've gone through that, it doesn't mean that you should treat people a certain way. It doesn't mean you should do this. That is where the line is drawn. Yes, we can confide in each other about the things that we've gone through. I can tell you, go and look for the help or whatever, but the moment you start acting according to the way that trauma, how should I put it? A good example would just be beating your girl. If you saw your father beat your mom, now you are going to beat your girlfriends. That would be where we draw the line. Yes, your experience was traumatic. You were a kid and you saw your dad beat your mom. But then the problem comes into where you actually deciding that that's the type of man that you want to be. For me, that's just, I don't know how else to explain it.
I get it, because you already said it.
Yeah, for me, that's just it.
You just said before, like, if your trauma defines the way you are and the way you act, then that's like obviously that's weak and that's
Yeah.
being a little pussy.
Yeah,
so to
that
speak.
is the pussy part.
Yeah, I get
Yes.
that. I get that. But it's but how do you feel about it? Like, do you would you say that modern society, so to speak, I don't know how it is in Namibia, but just in general here, wherever, do you feel that modern society is actually getting weaker? So to speak, like that's very generally speaking, but I think when I look around, it's like I don't want to judge.
No, I
It's to
think
sound
I'm trying to get the
judgy, but it's
question.
like, you know, people don't even have the courage anymore to stand up for themselves and to raise their voices, so to speak. You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to, but it's like I see less and less and less. Maybe that's because the way I was raised. My mom always told me to, if you see something that's not right, that you don't believe in, and she didn't ever say these words, but the way she acted told me or showed me that that's what she meant. Like, if you say something which is not right in your opinion, which is just a bad thing where you don't really believe in, then you have to speak up, you have to say something, you have to act as well, because that's what she always did. And from what I see, especially in the last 3 years, what I've seen, many people don't do that. And it doesn't matter what age you what age you have. I've seen so many older people and people where I thought, okay, they are actually quite confident usually, and I would consider them to be a smart person of courage, being a leader, all that, being a complete pussy in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But but take those last 3 years out, like generally, because we as a society everywhere in the world, we are having way more comfort now. Like, it's getting more and more comfortable. Everything is easier. Everything is just one click, and you get it you get it back home. You don't even have to walk to the fucking supermarket and get your food anymore. You know, all of that stuff makes us, in my opinion, pretty fucking weak. And then if you transfer that general development to people in general and to what we've just discussed, then I worry, and I think kind of sometimes, that people are being pussies in many ways. You know what I mean? How do you see that?
No, Krishi. Firstly, we can't, because again, that's undermining people's feelings.
Yeah.
Which is unfair.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that we are becoming pussies. No, absolutely not. Because
Okay.
people are allowed to feel what they feel.
Yeah.
People are allowed to express themselves the way they would like to. Especially in this century. There's absolutely no way in 2022 that people cannot express themselves freely in terms of their emotions and stuff. I mean, listen, our parents already had it so bad before where our fathers, because they are boys, they could not cry. If you had 2 sisters, you had to be strong for your sisters. Because otherwise, that's like you saying you want to repeat what happened 50 years ago. That is then you trying to create more broken men in society, in my opinion. Because people are supposed to feel what they feel. I mean, obviously, we all have to be strong at some point. You obviously can't completely let your feelings all out on the table, because then that also allows other people from the outside to take advantage of you. But expressing your feelings in the right environment and in safe spaces is not going to make you weak. Trust me. It will never make you weak. If you are being vulnerable in the right spaces, in safe spaces, you will never look weak to the other person unless that person is not meant to be around you. It's not supposed to hear or feel your vulnerability. But that's what love is. You're supposed to accept people for who they are. Just because you can feel their weakness now, it doesn't mean that after you guys had that vulnerable moment that you're now going to treat them like they're pussies. If you confided something in me and you cried on my shoulder or whatever, tomorrow when you see more macho, I'm not going to use that against you, because that means that I'm being unkind or whatever. It's not fair to do that, and that's what our parents and their parents were taught that men, I'm going to give you the example of men now, because boys were not allowed to cry.
Yeah.
And that's why they're acting so tough now, which is great because men are known to be the protectors. But how did that term come about? How did we know that men are the protectors? It's because it's something that has been happening for decades and decades. But why can't the woman be the protector? Why can't both of us be the protectors? But how about you take care of my mental health and my emotions, and I do the same? Why must you always be the one that I should lean on?
Has something to do.
Why must it seem like you're a pussy now? Because when you are telling me about your problems or crying to me, why must it seem like you're a pussy? And it's unfortunate that there are actually some women who, when they see their partner cry, they think that the partner is a pussy, and it's not supposed to be like that. He's a human being. You're not dating a robot. He's a person.
I do agree, 100%. And as I said in the beginning of this, I don't have I do have the opinion to a certain. I can understand both sides. I'm just always trying to figure out, okay, what can I learn from this? What is your perspective? How can I learn from that? And to answer this question, why is the man the protector? It has something to do with evolution and the biology just itself, and you know that as well. Everybody knows that. That's why people and actually, to be honest with you, this thing about crying, that is something. Because you said, why can't women just see the person as see the man as a person who is able to cry? I can tell you why. Because biologically, crying means you're weak again, and women usually don't like that, because over the period of the last fucking millions of years, men had to go out and hunt, be strong, and get food on the fucking table, meaning they couldn't be weak. And if a woman would have seen that back in the days, they wouldn't have chosen the man to be their man. That's the reasoning for this, in broadly speaking, kind of. But that's just, I find that interesting. I just really think that is interesting.
I mean, it's obviously different if you have if your partner is crying every day, then maybe it will make you feel some type of way, like, then who's going to protect you?
There's actually studies on this. There are certain situations where that's completely fine. They did this in the US. A lot of they did many studies in the US, as far as I know, where they did this with people who went to war. So they figured out that if men cry in front of women, that's, as I said, a sign of weakness, and women usually, they just don't like that, because it's not in their biologically speaking, it's just not what they're attracted to. But if, for example, the man cries about some fellow people in the military, like his friends that have died in war, that's fine. Because that's something really, really hard and very tough and emotional, that's completely different. But if he starts crying because the fucking, I don't know, the delivery man came 10 minutes too late, okay, come on, man.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying, just to point out this thing. But again, I didn't really want to link this idea of if the society is getting more pussified to trauma, because I think that's not what I'm like. I think real trauma is real trauma. That's what I said. You know what I mean? But I try to give you an example. Do you think that? I mean, we would have to ask our parents. But do you think 50 years ago, if somebody let's take weight, for example, obese people, or people who are getting fatter and fatter slowly but steady, these days people don't really want to point that out anymore. Most of the time they say it's fine, it's all right, that's you should be, it's okay, many people are like this, it's completely fine, all right, and blah blah blah. Try to comfort them. It's not as bad as it looks, and you still look good in your suit, you still look good in your dress. Even though everybody sees that you have too much on you. I would argue that 50 or whatever years, just go back 500 years ago, that wasn't even an option. You know, you had to be, or thousands of years ago, you had to be strong. You had to be, like, being fat was just not an option, because otherwise you wouldn't survive. Like, you wanted to be back in the days, but these days you don't have to be that way anymore, because we obviously have anything that we need. But then you look at society, people saying, okay, it's completely fine, it's all right, you know, like doing this one. That's what I mean. You know, that's what I see more and more in different areas of life and society, and that's what I wanted to ask you, if you have a different opinion on this, or do you think you can see that, or is that, how do you think about it
in terms of weight?
No, that was just an example. You can pinpoint to anything, like that you can't really tell someone your honest opinion about, I don't know, politics anymore, because that's like you are on this side or you are on that side already, like just because you have an opinion, you know what I mean? So you can define that, or like you can put this into any area of life.
I don't know. When it comes to opinions, I'm a very opinionated person, but
Meaning?
I would speak my mind.
Okay.
But like it was a lot worse back the day, because I just didn't have filter. But I think the older I got, I started, I want to say filtering, or just either shutting the fuck up sometimes, because I then figured out what was worth my time, I guess, because a lot of the times in the past when I give my opinion on something, we'd have a back and forth, and I think just getting older made me also realize that you need to sort of pick your battles. So if let's say there's a conversation in a group of people, and I would love to give my opinion.
Yep.
Firstly, I would figure out a way to either give the opinion or just keep quiet. Because before in the past also, it happens now also, where the opinion is unfortunately not received the way it's supposed to be received. And also that's not something I'm not going to blame myself for that, because opinion, freedom of speech, it is what it is. I can say what I want as long as I'm not offending anyone, but I can definitely speak my mind. But if you are going to, it's not my fault if you perceived or accepted the way I said something.
I like that.
Do you get what I mean? I can't control how you understood what I just said. However, you can ask me to clarify myself, and I can gladly do that. But if all you are going to take from my opinion is offense, then unfortunately I can't.
That's up to you.
It's up to you. But I'm also very, very happy to clarify the opinion that I just gave that might have seemed offensive to you. But unfortunately, there are some people who will not take offensive statements lightly. And I've also learned sometimes you also need to read the room. That's what I realized. And like I was trying to say, as I got older, I started being very careful with what I said. Not because I've become less opinionated, but just because I'm not trying to have a back and forth with people, and I'm trying to pick my battles very well. So I'm reading, now I read the room a lot. If I'd be more opinionated in a room of people that I know, for example, as opposed to just being opinionated with a group of people that I don't know, because I don't know how you're going to react and stuff like that. So
So you just don't want, just want to win an argument.
I'm not going to give my opinion to prove a point to you. It matters more to me that I stand by what I stand, whether you know it or you don't. I stand by what I stand. But opinions are opinions. You find people who take them lightly, obviously. You find people who are even very nice enough, and I like those people. I like people who, when you give your opinion, they give you their opinion, and then you guys exchange, but you're not fighting, but you're just exchanging a whole lot of information. You're picking at each other's brains as much as possible. Sometimes it even gets frustrating, but you're enjoying it. Those are my types of people. But I think for me it's just people are always going to have something to say. Some people, for example, now an example would be when you see someone bigger in the body, some will say fat, and that is very offensive to the person. But some would use a more chilled, I guess, word, and they would say you are chubby instead of fat. Sorry, because fat sounds more offensive, and chubby sounds more chilled and calm. And you wouldn't go outright calling someone skinny. You'd rather say you're slender.
Okay.
So those are also, you need to get your terms and your vocab like in check, because sometimes we say words that are very offensive, but then if you say another word that means kind of the same thing, then you are likely to not really offend someone so much. But also there are certain, like I said, read the room. You also know there are certain things that you should not give your opinion on. For example, never give your opinion on someone's body. That's what I've learned. It's not your business. It's their body. Whether they seem a certain way or not, never give your opinion about someone's body, their sexual life. I mean, you can get into a conversation with their religion and stuff, but don't touch on someone's. There's very sensitive issues that people would like to keep very sacred. I mean, yes, they're coming out of the house and they seem a certain way, but I always say, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. Or if you're not sure that what you are about to say might be taken the wrong way, then you can just also keep quiet. Simple. So that's
I get that, and I would certainly say that that's a sign of being smart and being strong. In order to, like, everything you just said, I totally agree. But still, sometimes I think you just have to say give someone the honest truth. You know what I mean?
Truth about what? It depends. That's why I said.
If they ask you, for example, do you what do you think about it? Let's take this body thing again. If they say, yeah, you know, I think I'm quite fat, you know, a little.
If they say that I'm quite fat,
yeah, I could lose some weight or whatever, then a lot of people would be like, no, it's fine, it's all right.
No,
it's good.
But if that's the thing.
But if your opinion really is, yeah, you actually are quite fucking fat. Sorry to say that, but that's what I feel, and I give it to you honestly, the way I feel, and I say it the way I see it. Then I think that's fine, and I think you don't have to always be watching out what kind of words you use, because words are sometimes, in my opinion, words are very overrated sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's what stands behind it. If I'm telling you, man, I think you could do better. Like, you could lose weight, you could look better, you could feel better, you could feel more energized and everything. Like, that's what really stands behind saying you are, sorry man, but you could lose some weight.
I have to disagree with you. Because if someone says, do I look fat in this? There's no problem if they said the word fat, which is a sensitive word. If they said the word fat and you want to give your opinion with the word fat, there's something that says it's not about what you say but how you say it. So you can't, if they say, do I look fat, they're coming to you. If someone is gently coming to you, but do I look fat, that means that they have a confidence issue. You need to be the fucking last person that points out that they actually look fat, because they already have a confidence issue.
Yeah, but what you're doing there then is you're just petting them. That's what I argue. You're petting them.
That's what I'm saying. It's not what you're saying, it's how you say it. There's so many other ways that you can tell them about their body weight.
Yeah.
And possibly even throw in how they can do better without having to make them completely melting in their self-esteem.
So you would rather say, oh yeah, babe, you got a little chubby, and I would suggest you, or whatever kind of, however you say it, but you would make it more mild?
No.
Not that?
I would say, yes. If she says, do I look fat in this dress?
Yeah.
I would probably say, yes, you do look fat. And then maybe go on to ask her, but are you happy with your, like, are you happy with your weight? If she says yes, then let it go.
Yeah.
But if she says no, but I'm not really happy, and then you ask her, but what do you want to do about it?
Yeah.
Because most chubby people probably want to do something about it. You ask them, what do you want to do about it? And they say, oh, no, I want to lose weight here, or no, my love handles are too big. It's like, yeah, then you should go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, maybe look into a diet or something.
Yeah.
But it's also the tone in which you say it. For example,
of course.
I mean,
tone makes the music. We say
here. It's also the tone in which you say it. It's not necessarily the message that you're trying to relay, because the message most messages that people try to relay are meant in a good way. But like I was saying, I can't blame you. You can't blame me for the way you understood something. but still you also need to understand how to say things to people with grace and kindness. Like, you don't need to be the nicest person there is. I mean, maybe a stranger will come to you one day. I mean, what I said, like, no, babe, you can tone down here. That's probably to someone that you know. But if a stranger came to you, you can also just say, I don't have an opinion. But if you want to have something to say, you can just be a bitch and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll lose weight because you asked me anyways, right? So, but it's almost, for me, it's very much with reading the room. Because in most cases, if I gave my very honest opinion every time, I'd probably get into physical fights a lot. Because I'm not really, it's only in the recent years that I had to be careful of how I say things. But normally I would just say it.
Yeah.
But then I was getting older and I realized that sometimes when people say things, it comes from a really low point of self-confidence. I mean, if someone came to me and said, oh my God, I look too fat in this dress, that means that they have a self-confidence issue, which for me is already sad. Not in like a self-pity way, but it's sad. And they don't need, most probably, in most cases, other people are calling them fat already, which is dragging them down in terms of confidence. They don't need that from the one other stranger that they thought would make them feel. I'm not saying pat their shoulders and make them feel sexy and skinny if they're not, but there are so many other ways to tell them something nice. They're not your friend, really.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell them to lose weight if you don't want to. They're your friends. If they die from obese, I'm not saying that's nice, but like maybe in that moment they just needed to hear something different.
I know what you mean. It's a very like, I mean, we just chose this topic because it's a bit easier to explain about how to talk to people and do you think people are weak and this and that. It could have been anything else. It doesn't have to be like the body weight of someone. But I think you can point some spots out with this topic. I think so. It's a very delicate thing. I'm with you on this. It's a very delicate thing.
Sensitive.
Yes. And it really depends on the situation. It depends on the person. It depends on the way you transfer your message, the tone of voice, all of that. I just wanted to... I said in the beginning, I try to be the negative guy here, yeah? Because I see your points, but I can also see the other side as well. And I sometimes, I don't know, I feel your way 100%, but I sometimes just feel like, man, people are just... We're getting weaker and weaker from decade to decade, really. Like what people had to go through 50 years ago or whatever, or 100 years, 500 years ago. And then I look at people these days, like arguing and whining and bitching about stuff that's not really worth bitching about. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say here a bit. You know, because the problems that we have these days are not real problems. Like if you just look back 500 years ago, that's like this. 500 years is nothing. Like literally nothing.
5 centuries.
Whatever. Like
It's
even
nothing.
a million years
No,
ago
it's
is nothing.
nothing, no.
Yeah. So and what I'm just saying is that people are getting very comfortable and by being comfortable, you could name a different word. It doesn't have to be weak. It can just be like, you know what I mean? Like we get more. And it's normal because society and the world is developing, and that's good. But I think we still sometimes have to, on purpose, think about what we really think is a problem and what's not a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most people's problems are not real problems. And then if you transfer that, if you go a little further, then what I'm saying is your... what you call trauma, is that a real trauma? Yeah, because just because yesterday, again, just because the delivery guy yesterday didn't give you, like, he came 10 minutes, I exaggerate here, yeah? But just because that happened, your whole day is ruined, or you get into a fucking depressive mode. That's not how it works, you know? But I feel like more and more people are doing that with, obviously not that example, but different things, you know? And I don't think that that's a good way to go.
I definitely
so
agree with
I
you.
just suggest that people maybe sometimes toughen up a little. you know,
You're not
in
wrong.
any area of their lives.
You're
so to
not
speak.
wrong. I think there are definitely some things that
Because when what we've listened to today over the last 2.5 hours, what you said, what happens in Namibia, yeah, if people from Germany here who can speak English and understand everything that you said, yeah, if they listen closely to you, then literally almost any fucking problem that they have had in the last year, I consider not to be a big problem. 100%. Again, except there is exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, of course.
Like somebody died or
yeah.
you fucking your arm
Yeah.
just broke off, you know,
Yeah.
like that. Different. But again,
Yeah, but you're right. I think some people are well, not everyone is becoming weak, but I'm also a firm believer in taking measures into your own hands. Not always having to rely on there's something that's gonna fix it. I mean, that's why because I was such a fierce bitch. Sorry, but I was such a fierce bitch in high school, and sometimes I wonder where that fire is that I had in high school. Because Jesus Christ, I did everything in high school. Like up until second year of university, I did everything. I was a waitress. I did this. I was only in my teens, but I worked jobs. I made thousands here and there. I made my own money, and I felt like a boss bitch sometimes, you know. So I'm just saying, and I threw away medication that I got from the doctor. I was young, but then the doctor told me something about myself, and I didn't agree with him. And I threw the meds away, and I never went back. I had 3 consultations with the guy. He gave me medication. The third consultation, he told me this and this about and I threw the meds away because I just didn't believe that was my reality. I thought he was wrong, and I still think he's wrong up to this day because I've had other therapists, and I still think that he was wrong, and I just feel like I had to take matters into my own hands, and I didn't. It's not like because I didn't take his medication, I went into a sinkhole or something. I was completely fine. I was okay, but I'm just saying I agree with you that. Maybe there is another word for the pussies. Maybe we should definitely find another word for that. But definitely our forefathers, our mothers, grandmothers, they were much stronger. But it's also because, you also need to remember, it's because they were under circumstances which they had to be strong. Do you get what I mean?
I do.
So they did not have time and spaces to be vulnerable. So we can compare certain aspects, maybe in terms of personality or whatever, but we can't compare a lot of it with them because they grew up under completely different circumstances, different centuries, different everything, you name it.
I get it. I'm 100% with you, but if the thing is this, if you take this a little further, then this, whatever you want to call it, weakness, being pussy, use a different word, find a new word for it, I don't care. But if you take this a little further, then this causes problems in society and in politics and in everything else. Like the stuff that happens from there can cause some whatever issues which defines the world. That's you know, that's very big thinking, but it is that's the way it is. If everybody's getting weaker, so to speak, where does it end up? That's just a question that you can ask, you know what I mean? Sometimes I think it's interesting to think about those kind of things.
That is interesting. It's a good question.
I have another one. I have 2 more questions for you because then I haven't even started yet. But, I was wondering, is there any type of book or documentary that you would, or let's say 2 or 3 of them, whatever, that you would recommend people to check out?
Jeez, I haven't read in many years.
Can be a documentary as well, whatever.
Documentary? Yeah,
as well,
I have a lot. For one, I have it's the one that I mentioned on Instagram. I don't know if I should call it a documentary, but it's a real life series. I think people should watch that. It's the soft white underbelly. Jesus, I cry sometimes when I watch that.
Yeah.
It's only because I like meeting people with different backgrounds. It's super fascinating when I meet this person who's maybe an economist and they grew up like this, or I meet this former drug addict. So that's what soft white underbelly is for me, and I'm also into crime thrillers and psychological shows and true crime series and true crime documentaries. So that's my type of thing, only because it gives me very real and raw information
Mm-hmm.
about who the person was, because true crime documentary series, they tell you about how the person grew up, what type of parents they had, where did they go to school,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I like. I like a breakdown of what is it in your childhood
Mm-hmm.
that made you who you are. Why did you commit a specific crime?
Yeah.
Not because I'm so fascinated by murderers, but because it makes me understand different types of people there are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So the Soft White Underbelly is also one of those shows where it literally has over 100 types of people.
Yeah.
You meet the pimps, you meet the dominatrix, you meet the prostitute, you meet the one that's addicted to crack, and then you meet the you meet the 18-year-old in Skid Row, you meet the one that ran away from home when they were 9 years old. At 9 years old, I didn't even lose my mom.
Yeah.
At 9 years old, I was right under my parents' wing. I was a baby.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So it's shows like that for me that
Yeah.
they draw me closer to people that I've never met.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I wish I could even come this close
Mm-hmm.
to meeting those people, because sometimes I'm even jealous of Mark, because he's the one that interviews the people on Software Underbelly, because I'm just like, you get to meet these people and they tell you their life stories, and it's just fascinating, because I always want to know why. Like, I'm such a curious person. I always want to know, but why are you like this?
Yeah.
Why do you do that? Why did you do that? I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes even when Kevin and I have like a misunderstanding, I always want to know, but why did you do that?
Yeah.
I want to know why, because
Yeah.
I always believe there's something that must have led you to say something, to do something, to act a certain way to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating that all human beings have a million reasons why they do certain things or why they are certain ways. So those are my recommendations.
Ah, see, I like this one. I put it in the show notes anyway.
Yeah.
Last question for you. So, I like this question, by the way, because I don't know how I would answer it. If you could meet any person, this person can be alive or can already be dead. If you could meet any person and have a conversation, just eye to eye, just the two of you, for 30 minutes, who would that be and why?
Okay, I think Oprah, because Oprah is, firstly, she's a black woman who is really making it in life, but on top of that, she deliberately decided not to ever get married in her life. I want to know why the fuck she decided not to get married ever, because I think she feels like she doesn't need a lifetime companion, and I want to know.
She's fucking Oprah. She doesn't need anyone.
But like, I want to know why, because everyone needs someone.
Yeah.
Everyone needs somebody, and I want to know how she's not my role model or anything. So let's not mix it up. But I really want to know why she decided to live her life without a lifetime companion, because I believe in lifetime companions, but I also like how career oriented she is, which is what I would like to think of myself. So I'm trying to understand how different it is, because and how she managed to do all of that without like a companion support, because for me personally, I can definitely make it on my own, but it would suck to not share my wins with someone.
Yeah.
It would suck to not come home and be like, oh, hey, babe, like, I just did this, like I just got a promotion somewhere, blah, blah. But she has been doing it, and she deliberately chose to never get married in her life. So, yeah, Oprah is not my role model, but I would love to have that conversation with her. I want to know how she did it as a black woman. Like, she's like, oh, she's a legend.
Yeah.
Oprah, she is. I just need to know how she...
One of the most influential women ever lived.
Yeah, I just want to know how the hell Oprah fucking did it. without a man by her side, or a woman.
Oh,
But
Jesus. All right,
what about you? Wait, sorry,
about me?
I want to ask you. Yeah,
there are many people I would like to have a conversation with, really, because I mean, otherwise I wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm just curious. I like people.
Yeah.
I want to, exactly like you said, I want to know who you are, why you are the way you are, and all of that. And I could name anyone, but if I could choose some people, or let's name a couple, I would like to have a chat with Adolf Hitler, for example.
Right. That's good.
I would like to have a chat with people like Caesar from back in the days, or like this. What's this guy called who came from the east somewhere and then basically took over half of Europe for a certain time, somewhere from Asia, like this super strong whatever guy. Because I'm interested in how Genghis Khan. See, somebody from the off.
Smart guy.
Genghis Khan.
Wow.
Because I'm just interested in how those type of, because they live on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, so there must be something so special about them, and I would like to know what that is.
That's a good one.
You know what I mean? And also, I mean, you could name so many more, like people like whatever Jay-Z, for example, because I think what that kind of person has done in this specific business that he's in, and what he's doing now, and where he's going in the future, very interesting. So I couldn't really give you one person. It would be.
So you're also
way
a
more.
curious being.
I hope so. I try to be.
Seems like it. That's
I
good.
try
I mean, I think many ways people move forward is by being curious. I mean, if we didn't ask why, we probably won't be able to move forward a lot. So
when you asked it, when you just said this, the Wright brothers, I would like to talk to the Wright brothers. I mean, how, or the like people like Albert Einstein.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, how the fuck did he get all
There's
this?
actually more that I would probably speak to. Yeah.
See, like if you think about
If
it,
you think about it, there's actually more. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a good question.
do you come back? Are you gonna come back?
Yes.
That's great.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll come back when I'm in Germany again.
Yeah.
This is very nice.
I also do. By the way, I also do this like digital.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. And.
But we're going to Portugal. Maybe you'll shoot something. I don't know.
Yeah, we can certainly. But
Kevin.
anyway, because I have so many other things I would like to talk to you about that we didn't even touch on.
It seems like you have a list.
Yeah, I do. Like, for example, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you see yourself as a person? Whatever. Like, whole topic of racism is something very big, in my opinion, that we could talk about. 'Cause I think that's fascinating too. But anyway, good that you've been here.
Thank you so
much. It was
much.
a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And to all of you guys, again, if you enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up, comment, share this one, and tell a friend about it. Would make me very, very happy. And I would say until next time.
Until next time.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.